Hello, good evening. Welcome on this lovely snowy day. Paratici's going to get arrested. England are out of the World Cup. Pete's got a 3-mile-long screwdriver for his job. Kuba's not feeling well. I think Sean's okay, and I'm blocked in because of a snowstorm. How are we all, Pete? How are you? You good?
I'm good, fellas. How you doing?
Good. You ready to talk some football?
Yeah, mate. Why not?
Good. Excellent. Kuba, you're not feeling great, but other than that, are you okay?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what there would be other than that, to be honest.
Other than the bad stuff, everything's good.
Other than potential COVID, are you okay?
Oh, I'm cheered up by the Paratici palaver at the moment because you've got to laugh, haven't you?
Yeah, by the way, I don't know Paratici's going to jail, by the way. That was a joke. I haven't heard anything. Sean, how are we doing, mate? You good?
Good, mate. I literally just, as soon as you both said that, I was like, have I missed something on the Paratici news? Started typing away.
No. You've not missed a thing. You've not missed a thing. Boys, look, just quickly before we get into Tottenham, we're going to talk Tottenham all night tonight. Just quickly before we do, look, England have been knocked out of the World Cup. Is anybody surprised? I've seen a lot of surprised fans in the last sort of 24 hours, but Pete, are we surprised that a Gareth Southgate team got knocked out by a top national side?
No, not really. I'm actually surprised that they took it as far as they went with it, to be honest, and gives France a bit of a game. I think if he weren't such a bottle job, we might have actually got something out of the game. But there you go. That's Gareth Southgate for you.
Yeah. I mean, Kuva, I know you've been kind of boycotting the World Cup, but I mean, like you've watched enough England games and tournaments throughout the years to know that this is pretty much as this is what happens, isn't it? We beat the Irans, we beat the Welsh, we beat the Senegalese, come up against a decent team in the top sort of 5-10 countries in the world, and we go out, right? Yeah,
there's this weird sort of link between the national team and either Spurs or Liverpool over the years. I've always thought. For us at the moment, the national team behaving like Spurs, playing white shirts, used to be good in the 60s, don't win anything now.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of similarities. I mean, a big up to everyone in the chat. If you haven't already, please press the like button. Please subscribe to everybody's channel. You've got Spurs Talk Show, which is, of course, Sean. You've got North London which is Pete. And Couv99 representing the Free Spurs boys and Couv and the gang. Sean, I mean, there's been lots of talk today about we're proud of you. Well done, England. It's been great. I don't know about you. I find that all very amusing, considering the fact that the best team we beat was Senegal, who I thought were dreadful. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, I thought the best performance England put in was last night. I thought we were unlucky to lose. You know, the outcome doesn't surprise me. The performance did. The way that we lost, or the way that we went out with a missed pen from the guy that you could usually rely on to tuck them away, was obviously a little bit of a shame. But yeah, look, it's typical, isn't it? Typical England. But I actually enjoyed the game last night, and I thought we were the better team. I thought the referee was quite possibly one of the worst referees I've witnessed hold that kind of professional figurehead for such a big game. Strange, disappointing, but look, I didn't expect England to go on and win it anyway, so it is what it is. You know?
Yeah. Last question, lads, before we do go on to Tottenham. I mean, Pete, my biggest criticism of the guy is, as you well know, you're in enough WhatsApp groups with me now, Pete. You know that he's got the Phil Fodens, he's got James Maddison, he's got Jack Grealish, and yet we don't ever see them on the pitch at the same time. And when you are looking for a goal in a World Cup quarter-final, your substitutions are back to your old favourites, Sterling and Mount. And Grealish comes on in the 98th minute of 99 minutes of the game. And James Maddison, who behind Kane is the second most goal contributions in the Premier League for the last 3 years, hasn't kicked a ball at the World Cup. I blame Gareth Southgate completely. What about you?
100%. I'm no fan of the geezer whatsoever. Hopefully, he knocks it on the head now. He's had 3 tournaments. He's had 3 failures. I'm not buying the crap. Oh, we got to a semi-final or a final and all that shit, because that's now with the way the World Cup and the European Championships are. You have to go that far before you play anyone decent, because there's so many teams in it now. But you look at the list of all the teams he's beaten World Cup games. There's been poor, not really standout teams there. Yesterday, I think on 70 minutes, just 5 minutes before they scored, you're looking at you thinking, right, France are on the ropes here. They've done their bollocks. Let's have a go. Take Henderson off. Put on a Maddison or Grealish, because Henderson was one getting free all the time. And you think if you put someone better there, you can actually use the ball and put something on them. Then Kane had Upamecano in his pocket. Anytime the ball came into him, he was spinning him like with ease. And you think it's there, go and do it. But as usual, Southgate is the reactive manager. I don't know what to do here. And then sat back and then bang, they score. And then he's got to react. And his reaction is pants as usual.
Yeah.
I mean, why Sterling came on the pitch, I have no idea. Why Saka came off, who's probably our biggest threat, I have no idea. You think, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's strange. I mean, Kuva. Somebody sent round earlier to me, and I promised after you and Sean, we're going to go on to Tottenham. That England's World Cup wins since 2006 reads like this: Tunisia, Panama, Colombia, Sweden, Slovenia, Paraguay, Trinidad, Ecuador, Iran, Wales, Senegal. Now, when you break that down, and you can even chuck the Euros in there as well, I don't know what it is. We cannot beat a top team ever, can we? We just cannot get the better of these top teams when it matters.
I always think, for years now, national team, it's almost like we're too scared to just express ourselves. Let the best players on the pitch do what they do best. Support the attack. It's like we're kind of holding this rigid defensive shape, and it's at the expense of the free flowing attack. I don't think we make the most of our talents. We've got a manager who was bang average as a player, totally overrated, got way too many England caps. And as a manager, he's done the same thing. Totally overrated, way too long in the job. It's just because he looks good when he wears a suit and doesn't cause the FA any problems, does he?
It doesn't. I mean, Sean, last thing, just before we move on to Spurs. I mean, lots of talk about whether or not Southgate should continue in his role. Aren't we at the stage now when you actually look at the talent, not only the talent that's in the squad now, but the talent coming through, the likes of Ramsey at Aston Villa, the likes of Conor Gallagher, you got Foden, Saka, Bellingham, Grealish, are we at a stage now where we need to let a more forward-thinking manager with winning experience take this lot and really, really push us to be a forward-thinking team?
Yeah, we are. In as much, and also there's so many similarities to Tottenham, like you guys have already said. Our defense with England is our weakest area. The attacking options is great. So why play a manager? Why use a manager that plays kind of pragmatic football? Take advantage, highlight your best things, put your best foot forward, and do what you have. Where you have luxuries and you have options, activate that side of the game more. Same with Tottenham, but we don't do it. What I would say though is, who is the next managerial cab off the rank is a little bit more. It's a little bit more tricky, right? If you're someone that's of the mode to stick with an English manager, outside of Graham Potter and Eddie Howe. Neither of those two are probably going to leave their job. Eddie Howe certainly isn't. I don't know if Potter will be around, but apart from those two, I don't know who the next English managerial talent is that's going to come through. And if you want to go, it's a lot easier conversation if you're happy to go foreign. But then you have to have the debate as to whether it's right that a foreign manager manages your national team.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I look at the English. I look at the English managers and think, is there really anyone out there? I keep hearing a lot of noise about, is it going to be Poch? I think at least if Poch took that team, he'd play football. I feel that, look, somebody made a great point here. Nicola, big up to yourself, Nicola, said, Harry Kane being forced to play two roles when you have James Maddison on the bench. I get it at Spurs. We don't have a playmaker. But when I'm looking at playmakers sitting on a bench for England, Grealish and Maddison, I just think to myself, if you were Kane, surely you're looking at Southgate going, playing him behind me. and then you get all these other fans from other clubs slating Kane. Oh, he's not scored as many as he should. Well, he's getting zero service in the game, getting zero chances created for him. But look, let's move away. I'm sure it will come back up. Let's move on. Pete, I'm going to start with you. We're going to talk Tottenham. A player that's had a great World Cup that we've been linked with. We could have had him in the January window. Apparently last year was Soufiane Amrabat, who has, every time I've watched Morocco, he's been sensational. He's been absolutely brilliant in the midfield. 3-part question. Have you seen him play? Would you take him? And do we need another player of that ilk?
Yeah, I've seen bits of him play. I haven't been glued to the World Cup. He looks a decent enough player. Would I take him? Well, this question is the same answer for the third question. No, because he's what we've already got. I'm sick of seeing the same type of players coming through the door all the time, the same skill set, albeit maybe one has slightly more quality than the other, but in reality they're the same type of midfielder. We've got too many of them, so unless one of them's going to go, no, just to go and get someone. We need someone completely different skill set than another sort of midfield workaholic, runs around a lot, good in the tackle, blah blah blah, but not really a creative force, not really a proper technical master, nothing like that. So no, I don't want another Højbjerg / Bentancur, Basuma. How many more do you want? Do you know what I mean? Skip, yeah. Fucking hell. How many do you want?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Kuva, as I said, I know you've been boycotting the World Cup, but you'll have to take it from us. Amrabat has been absolutely outstanding in a very well-oiled Morocco team. I mean, look, you're not watching Morocco if you're a purist. You're not watching them for their free-flowing style of football. But Amrabat has just anchored that midfield brilliant, sits in front, does the work, got a fantastic engine on him. If we were to buy him, Kuva, what would that tell you about our plan moving forward if we were to get another defensive midfielder?
Well, since he started getting mentioned and us being linked with him all the time, I took a couple of looks at him playing for Fiorentina, but it didn't really stand out to me. He looked like a very competent sort of technical player, but I didn't see anything amazing. But I'm hearing a lot of things about him putting in rave performances in the World Cup. So, yeah, I mean, every position, if you can find somebody better than you currently got, then why not? But we are heavily loaded in that position at the moment. There's higher priorities, surely, for me. Yeah. Wing backs and centre backs. We've been talking about this for ages. Even despite his people raving about Hugo as well in the World Cup, we're still going to be looking at a replacement goalkeeper at some point.
Yeah, sorry, just quickly, Phil. Sorry, mate. When you're saying us England fans always find faults, yeah, because we've got some fantastic players that aren't getting on the pitch, and we're getting knocked out of every tournament. So, yeah, sorry for me. I don't think they did do themselves proud out in. Sorry, I think we've beaten Senegal, Wales, and Iran. If that's what these 200 grand a week footballers, that's the best we can hope for. Not for me, mate. Not for me. Sean,
problem in this country.
Listen, this is the thing. I think I said to someone earlier, I don't know which group, I think you might have been on one of them, Pete, but for me, it feels like getting to the quarterfinals of the World Cup is almost like the equivalent of teams getting to fourth in the Premier League and everyone losing their mind because they got top four. Where it's not real success. It's an achievement, but not really massive success. But Sean, the Amrabat.
Just quick though, before we move on to the Amrabat, do you think though, just to play devil's advocate, I actually agree with you guys, but just to play devil's advocate on the guys in the comments that feel differently, do you think that England's squad, when you looked at the tournament before it started, do you think that winning the trophy was a reasonable expectation?
Not with Southgate,
right? Okay,
but with
the right manager, our team is
the right player wise, yeah.
Okay,
all day long. It's doable. We've got only teams left in it, and
I think we still got quite a dodgy defence, though, haven't we?
Defence is awful, yeah.
But we've kept it away from there. We've done well.
We weren't actually that dreadful at the back. I mean, look, for me, the issue is that we've got so much creative flair within the ranks of England, and we don't see them. We don't see them play. And, you know, it's his constant need to get Mount and Sterling on the pitch, come rain or shine. I don't understand it. Neither are in good form for club or country, and neither are as creative as Grealish, Foden, and Maddison, and yet he loves them. And that for me, I don't know about you. I think the top managers there's ever been are ruthless. They don't
play on meritocracy, right? I understand you need a couple of like maybe steady heads that have been there in the big tournaments, and Jordan Henderson is that kind of guy, right? You bring him in because he's he's like the kind of older head that's been there before to give the other guys a bit of comfort. But I think you should work to a meritocracy, and the guys that are playing their best form for their clubs, if they're good enough technically, should be the guys that start for their country. You shouldn't have some sort of legacy of just because you've done it before. Well, they haven't really done it before, have they? Because you haven't won anything before. So
exactly.
This is the thing. I mean, I get slated for saying this, and listen, I am a firm believer that you can only beat who's in front of you, right, guys? I get that, but at the same time, I also believe that your merit should be based on who you're beating. And England in the last 3 tournaments for me have beaten absolutely no one of any quality at any stage. When I couple that with the fact that he got relegated from the Nations League, and that leading into the tournament, we hadn't won for 6. So that means England have won 3 of their last 11 games. Right? But yet this guy seems to get, oh my God, he's the best manager since Alf Ramsey. I don't see it. I feel like this is another generation of footballers that we're not going to get the best out of. You've got
it's that same question, isn't it? It's not looking at what they've done. You should be looking at what we could be doing with this group of players.
I think
you can't really gauge that so easily, can you?
Thing is, that comment, that is a problem in this country, and we see it as Spurs fans when we got to the Champions League final. Everyone keeps always going back to that. How we got to the final? What? We didn't win it. End of. And the same with this. We got to the Euro final, got to the World Cup. So what? We didn't win it, and it's like everyone gets all excited and sort of. That is seen as success now. Is that that's the reason we never actually get success, because they're celebrating that like that is the end game. I mean, knighthoods all ran when they got to the World Cup semi-final, and it's the same. I mean, look at that young tennis bird. She's just got a knighthood. She's only won 1 tournament. She's not been seen since, but she gets a knighthood. I mean, you think
did she get a knighthood?
Well, something like that, an OBE or something. You know what I mean? And you think, what's going on? And you're like, and it's the same with that comment sums it up. Well, you got to give them credit, and they've done us proud. Well, not really, because when you look at, they've beat everyone they should be beating. Doing us proud is going up to a France and turning them over.
So like this, Pete. So
it's the same geezer. Listen, no credit, no.
Listen, the credit for me is, we in the Euros, we beat the teams we should beat. I don't think in the Euros there wasn't much competition. I think European football for half of it is weak. I think for me, I don't think the national teams are anywhere near as good as they used to be. I think it's leveling out now. So the likes of Morocco, Korea, Japan, Saudi Arabia, I think those countries now are leveling up. Whereas I think the Brazils, the Argentinas, the Spanish, the French, the German, I think are all sort of coming down to level. Yes, Philo, 1, 2, 3. Credit for getting to the final. We needed to do what we needed to do. But then you get to the final and the guy puts 10 men behind the ball and against a team that don't attack massively themselves, rather than putting on the attacking players that go and play football. So
and bottled it. It went 1-0 up in that final, remember? And as soon as that was the end, that was the worst thing they ever did.
Exactly.
Sat behind the ball for the rest of the game, waiting for the inevitable to happen. He's a reactive manager. It's always the same with him. But we got to get away from this mentality that's always. I know we're that desperate for a bit of success, and it's the same with Tottenham fans. Like Bentancur scores a couple of goals. Then the conversation: is he world class? Well, no, fucking ain't. Because you're talking about him scoring goals, not delivering world class performances. There's a big difference. Do you know what I mean? And it's straight away. All of a sudden, it goes from 0 to 60 straight away, like in 2 seconds. They've gone from that's really good. That's great. There we go. We're mustard now. You think you're miles away. Other countries and other clubs must laugh. You look at other countries now. I mean, their managers, as soon as they go out, well, I'm done. See you later. Yeah. Right, I mean, right. Southgate may do it. It took him 3 tournaments to do it. He should have done it after Euros, in my opinion. But we'll see. But he won't get another job, a top job anywhere else. No way.
It's like you can't even be critical about players nowadays if it's Spurs or England. If you are, it's like you've got an agenda.
Agreed.
You can't just say you don't rate somebody. It's just crazy.
Mate, but this is the thing, Cooper, for me. I said earlier, if you look at it, Spain got knocked out, Enrique walks, or whatever that he's gone, right? The Brazilian manager is going. Yeah. I think two other managers have gone from quite big countries as well.
Enrique?
Enrique's gone from Spain. Martinez has gone from Belgium. TT's going from Brazil. The problem is you've got England fans. So many England fans I'm seeing going, "Oh, this guy's building a team." Now, for me, guys, I don't know about you. I don't care whether it's country or club. If you've got a manager that's been in situ for 6.5 years, I believe that team stroke nation should all know their jobs, whether it's free-flowing football or not, should all know and have a fluid system of how to play. Yeah, I watch England. One game it's 4 at the back, then the next game it's 5 at the back. He hasn't evolved it for me. It's still desperate to get Mount in, desperate to get Sterling in, desperate to get Maguire in. I mean, if you were him, would you walk, guys? Do you think you should walk?
Having the faith in players, even when their form isn't great, it's been the downfall of a lot of managers. I mean,
agreed.
Pochettino and
it's like, mate, he's had
and things. Yeah.
Same as taking injured players and all that stuff. We've seen it all before, but repeat the same mistakes. But I think you should ask 2 questions, Savva. Who should he go and who should replace? Well, anyone's got any names?
Should he go? I'd let him. Do you know what I'd take? I mean, again, but this is a manager that plays football that I like. I would get in a Luis Enrique. I would get someone in that can play football. And unlike with Spain, he'd have players that can finish their dinner at England. We've got forwards, and Spain have them. But
I think we should get in Eddie Howe, so just to derail Newcastle.
What about Steven Gerrard?
No.
What about that? Frank Lampard? None of those two?
No, I'll tell you I'd go for is probably left field. He's managed in this country. He knows the English mentality. He knows the league very well. Always played great football. He's sort of that age now where international manager suits him. I know he ain't been in a job for a couple of years. My pick would be Arsene Wenger. Why not? He knows this. He knows this league. He knows this country. He was here 20 years. Well, he's still better than Southgate, but he plays the football. He braces the young players. He's
73 years old.
I don't mean nothing international football. You see how old some of them are. Why not? I mean, I don't think he'd want it, but I think that'd be a great shout. You couldn't do much worse than that.
It'd certainly give the players freedom to play, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
he's always
get forward all the time, innit? That was his mentality. Get the ball forward. He likes young players, picks young players, plays great football. Do you know what I mean? Knows the league, knows the English mentality. He was here long enough.
Dishes
out press, all that shit. Yeah, smarties all round.
Yeah, this. So I don't think Spain sacked him. I think he actually walked. But when managers walk, you just never know if it's walk before push, right? So, Rafa, the same point stands. Spain sacked a treble winner last week, while the FA is deliberating if they should keep a perennial loser. Different levels of standard and mentality. Listen, I agree. For me, I mean, I don't care. I know what you were saying earlier, Sean. I don't care that the manager's English or not. It makes zero difference to me as a football fan what nationality.
A lot of people do, though. A lot of people do, right? Yeah. And if the FA felt the same, who would be the English manager then? The reason I throw out Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard is because they're 2 English managers. If you want to go,
that's because they're English. They're not good enough, are they?
No, I hear you. But if the conversation does go down that has to be English path, you're not going to get Eddie Howe. Graham Potter, may or may not be at Chelsea very long. But outside of those two,
is David Pleat available? But this is the thing. I said
Harry Redknapp. If you're going to go Arsene Wenger, who's 73, Redknapp 75. I mean, I don't know. Like,
there you go.
I'll tell you what. Harry Redknapp would have that team flying.
Yeah.
Harry Redknapp would get a playmaker out there. He'd get 2 wide men that beat a man. He'd have a striker who's actually allowed to be a striker rather than having to drop deep and do all the work for everybody. I mean, what do we make of this comment, guys? So, where is it? Ken T has said Gareth is similar to Conte in that he doesn't trust his squad. But when you look at England and you look at the talent from midfield through to forward, can we really say that Gareth Southgate doesn't trust these players that are, you know, Rice is the captain of West Ham and everyone wants him for 150 million, apparently. Bellingham, the whole world wants him. You know, Foden.
Doesn't know what to do with it.
Agreed.
It's not, he doesn't trust, doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite side of the same coin with him, though, isn't it? He's got too much trust in the players that he does like, not enough trust in the players that could break into the team, and he doesn't give them the chance. So it's two ways of looking at the same problem, really.
Yeah, no, of course. It's just, for me, I just feel that when you've had 6.5 years, you've been to 3 tournaments now, and listen, I'm not Nostradamus or anything, but for all the people who keep telling me every tournament England is coming home, I hate that saying, by the way. It's coming home. We've got this. We've got the best. The problem for me is always come up against a good team, we go out. It's the same every tournament. You know, I can't remember the last time we beat a top team. Can anyone think off the top of their head?
No, don't class the German team we built in the Euros as a top team because they're on their way out. Plus, they should have won the game anyway. But you only see where Germany are now.
Spain, the 1996 quarterfinal.
They weren't the Spain they were now, though, was they?
Probably how far you have to go back before we last time we beat someone.
Probably Argentina in World Cup '98. And we beat them in the group, didn't we?
Gave the Dutch a good spanking in one of the finals, didn't we?
That was Euros, wasn't it?
That was 96. 4-1. That was around before. Yeah.
But do you know what I loved about that? Venables,
18 years ago.
Another manager for me, Venables, like Redknapp. Venables got the team, and he played them to their strengths. He had 2 top quality forwards who played 2 up front. He had good wide men. He had the diamond in the midfield with, you know, Paul Ince doing all the hard work and Gaza doing all the trickery, and it wasn't rocket science. It just worked, and you know, they gave it all and they attacked. And I watch us play now, and I just think, I know that your first substitution is going to be Sterling or Mount. It doesn't matter what's happening. And like Pete said, you're 2-1 down, right, in a World Cup quarterfinal, right? And your first substitution is taken off Henderson, who I don't think should start anyway. But your first substitution is taken off Henderson. You're thinking, right, is it going to be a striker? Is it going to be Grealish? Is it going to be Maddison? Nope, it's Mason Mount. What are you hoping for with a manager that makes decisions like that?
He's bound to be our next manager at Spurs, isn't he?
Oh, don't. I just.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah. Guys, this is something we're going to talk about in a bit, by the way, Jubilani. We're going to talk about Kane and Richarlison as they both come back to the club. Guys, Harry Kane, keeping the Spurs connection, is coming into a lot of stick because he missed a penalty. It makes you laugh. This is England's all-time top goal scorer, or will be very shortly, joint level with 53 goals. He has to come back, he has to play 2 roles, misses a penalty and gets a lot of blame from many, many fans. I mean, it's human nature, right? Everyone misses penalties unless I've missed a player that never missed a penalty. What do we make about the stick he's getting, guys?
Lionel Messi's got the all-time record for missed penalties in first-class football.
He doesn't miss many, Kane, does he?
Takes a lot of them, though.
He doesn't miss many. And it wasn't... It was to get a draw. It weren't to win the game. It weren't in a penalty shootout. Do you know what I mean? He stood up and took it. It's just one of them things. He very rarely misses like that. It's normally keeper saves it.
I think 11 from 69 he's failed to convert in his time.
Who's that, Kane?
I think that's what a stat I saw earlier. Don't quote me on it, but that's what someone texted me. 11 from 69. For me, I think that the difficult thing was, right, I said this on my morning walk with my dog this morning. I feel like if you're going to have 2 penalties, then it's the hardest. The one goalkeeper you probably don't want to have to take it against in such high stakes is the goalkeeper who knows your flavour of penalty more than anybody else. Right now, in the first one, like I think there was a bit of double guessing, like a bit of like I know what you think I know what you're going to do between the 2 of them. Everyone knows that Kane's favourite position is to his left, low into the side. On the first pen, he removed I guess he tried to remove the risk of of Lloris guessing the right way by going into the top locker. Almost a perfect pen, unstoppable. Second one, I watched it in slow motion a few times. He didn't slip. He didn't there was nothing wrong. There was nothing to blame about the fact, but he ballooned it so far over the bar. The only thing you could put it down to was either the additional nerves or maybe that he got put off. Maybe something happened, like maybe he changed his mind last second. Because he didn't, and other people are saying the balls are a little bit lighter, and so maybe that's what it was. I don't know if that's an excuse.
I think he was going for pure power. Thought, right, I know he might. I think he's thinking he might guess this Frey White, so I'm just gonna. That's my best side, so I'm just gonna go make sure I get it higher. And he's put too much on it because the first penalty was at a height the keeper could save it if he guessed the right way. He thought this time I ain't taking no chances. He might guess that way. Because he's only go so many ways, can't he? It's only going to go one or two sides. So I thought I'd just put a bit more on it and try and get it higher.
Just go straight down the middle. That's what I reckon he should have done.
Because if he'd got that right, the keeper wouldn't have saved it. If he gets that right, the keeper don't save it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing, Coover, isn't it? This happened in the Euros. All the fault went on to Saka and to Rashford, and I think one others was it Sancho, maybe. Someone else missed a penalty. And
Saka, Sancho, and
you know, we're now doing. I mean, I'm getting friends of mine today. You know, you think of the age of my friends going, "Oh my God, Kane bottled it. Kane knocked England out the World Cup," and it just beggars belief that when you get a player like Kane, let's be really honest, this isn't even Spurs bias. You get one of the greatest goal scorers there's been in English football history, and that's not bias, right? That's a factual statement. He's like 45 goals away from Alan Shearer's record. And the stick this man is getting for missing a penalty, Kuva, is, I'll be honest, Kuva, I don't want to be that guy. I'm going to say it. People can click this one. It almost makes me happy that England went out because I think those fans don't deserve victory. I don't think if you berate a player for missing a penalty, I don't think you deserve any success. I think that's really childish.
Yeah, I agree. The treatment of players just generally who they miss. There's a really distasteful section of fans, has been for quite a few years now. Even when Southgate missed a penalty as a player, the stick they get is unreal. Beckham getting sent off, and he's been told sickening things like "hope your kid gets cancer" and stuff like that.
It's just
terrible.
It's just unbelievable. People need to really get a grip. It's just a really bad indictment of the culture in a lot of countries nowadays. It's like people can hide behind the screen and safety and say all these things, and you wouldn't get away with it face to face. You just wouldn't.
What makes me laugh is none of them want to talk about the root cause of why we actually had to rely on penalties to score. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if talk about the real problem, is just why we can't attack properly. Yeah,
Pete,
and address that.
Bang on. Pete, bang on. Do you know what? In all of these, I see all these Gary Nevilles and Carragher's and Ian Wrights and Keanes. Everyone's talking about what's happened to England. I never, ever hear them talking about why top players like Grealish and Maddison can't get a minute for England. I never hear them talking about that it took media and fan pressure for him to start Phil Foden, who is, arguably, again, won't get into this debate, arguably the best young player in Europe, one of, etc. And they never ask these questions. They never ask it. It's always about the ref, or if we hadn't missed a penalty. But no one, like you said, no one talks about the root cause. No one talks about why did Mason Mount come on for Jordan Henderson? Why did he not go, right, hang on, we're in the quarterfinal of the World Cup. Let's go to 3 up front. Do you know what I mean? Let's get on Callum Wilson, get on Maddison, Grealish, Wilson, Kane, and let's go for it.
It was there for the taking. 70 minutes, we took them France's best punches. It was 1-1. We were getting on top. Saka was tearing that left back to shreds, and you think, right, Henderson's getting free every time down that right-hand side. Let's get a better player there with a ball who can actually do some damage with it, and then you might have a chance. And that's the difference between a proper manager and Gareth Southgate. A proper manager smells blood and goes, right, it's going to be now or never, because you can't draw your way to a World Cup. You have to win matches. It's not like the league where you can, I can settle for a draw today. You got to win matches. So get in there, right, I'm going to go for it now, shit or bust. If we lose, we lose, because we're going to lose anyway. The longer it went on, because it's just nature. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, no one wants to talk about that because he's all friends. He's all good with the media. There's another reason why the FA like him. But you notice none of the media give him any grief whatsoever. Yeah, back in the day, managers got slaughtered. People like Hoddle, who was drowned out of job for non-footballing reasons. Venables, another one, got grief. And you think,
Steve McLaren.
He was fucking shit. Come on,
he was shit, but he got slated.
He was another Gareth Southgate. But he's
let the man stay dry, for God's sake. If you're going to criticise the man for his football, fine. But he hasn't got to get wet. Like, let him have an umbrella. What's the problem?
But that was better. Wally with a brolly, Wally with a waistcoat, mate. Take your pick, mate. It's the same fucking thing.
The thing is as well, I mean, thanks, Misawati, thanks for sending these through. Look, you see everyone misses penalties, right? But by the nature of being a penalty taker, if you do a lot of anything, it's not always going to work. That's like saying Phil Taylor checked out every single checkout he could have.
Yeah.
Of course he didn't.
Yeah.
Of course you don't. You can't say that. Otherwise, penalties would never be missed. And when fans
penalties have only got a 0.75 XG, right? So not that I care about XG, but that suggests that 3 in 4 should go in, 1 in 4 shouldn't. So if you have a better than 75% ratio, then you're overachieving what the value of a penalty should be. And he does hit more than 75%. So nothing wrong with him.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, when people say, "Oh, it's 12 yards out, how can professionals not hit the target?" I mean, how many players have we seen miss a penalty in the last 3 weeks in this tournament? I've seen Lewandowski miss a penalty. Sergio Busquets miss a penalty. I've seen Harry Kane miss a penalty. People miss
the entire
penalties.
Japanese team.
The entire Japanese team, the entire Spanish team. Guys, let's move on to Spurs related. Let's kicking on from that. Kuva, what does this mean for Harry Kane? The Premier League's going to start again soon. Harry Kane's going to be back with Spurs. Is there a danger that what's just happened could absolutely kill any confidence and he comes back a bit like he did after the Euros? Obviously, in a slightly different scenario. Or are we going to see a fired up Kane with a point to prove to all these doubters? Not that he should have to prove anything to doubters, but will we see that?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a pissed off Harry Kane coming back, smashing goals in for fun. As we sail all the way to the Premier League title. It's definitely happening there.
He's going to get a hat-trick every game for the next league games.
Having this conversation the other night, I just feel he's one of these characters wherever the adversity's thrown in his face, he comes back, he works at it, comes back better than ever. Being written off as a youngster, saying he wouldn't make it as a pro in the top leagues. He worked hard at it, forced his way in, then told he's not fit enough, he's not quick enough, gets his running shoes on, improves his fitness levels and his overall speed. Then told lots of people saying, our own fans included, saying, championship player at best. He comes in, scores a few goals in his first full season. Then he's the one season wonder. So he comes back, does it again. Then all of a sudden he's Premiership, Golden Boot winner, and England banging in the goals all over the place. He just has an answer when he comes back, keeps coming back. Unfortunately, it's not coming about on some of the biggest games at times, but that's life. It doesn't always work that way for players. Some of the best players in the world didn't end up with anything. Matt Letizia already mentioned, brilliant player, never won anything. I think Kane's just that sort of character. He's there for proving people wrong, and he will answer them in the best way possible. Play well, score goals.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, I'll come to you. I mean, listen, when we're saying he should have scored for 12 yards, but as I just said, this tournament you've seen one of the greatest English goal scorers of all time, Harry Kane, miss a penalty. You've seen the greatest ever Polish goal scorer, Lewandowski, miss a penalty. You've seen arguably the greatest footballer of all time, Lionel Messi, miss a penalty. It's pressure. It's that moment. It's not guaranteed that everyone's going to put the ball away from 12 yards. Sean, in terms of Harry Kane, is there going to be added weight to his shoulders now? Because what was thrown at him a lot before this was Kane doesn't show up in big games.
Yeah.
Kane hasn't won anything. He doesn't show up in big games. This, unfortunately, kind of
magnifies that,
helps both those arguments from that side of things, doesn't it? Because he's not won again.
Yeah.
And not turned up in a big game. I mean, he got one penalty but missed the other.
That was his only goal for the tournament, wasn't it?
Pardon?
That was his only goal for the tournament, right? I know he got 3 assists, but did he get another goal?
Yeah, he got one in the first game or the second game.
Oh, did he? Okay. Forget.
He scored. I think he scored against Senegal or Wales or someone. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, look, I think he's got that willpower, that strength of character to shrug it off and to come back. I agree with Coover. I think you'll see him come back and be like an angrier version of himself. These things do take their toll, though. I don't know if he's the sort of person that reads social media a lot more now. I'd imagine that these football players try to stay off of Twitter and things. You know, they're probably told by psychologists. Like Joe Rogan always says it, doesn't he? You know, he tells every one of his guests on his podcast, why do you read the comments about you? Like, stop reading the comments, and it's the path to less anxiety. But I don't know. Look, for me, I don't worry about Harry Kane's ability. I think he'll still come in and score another, 10 goals, 10 assists before the end of the season.
Yeah.
He's a resilient guy, and he's a champion for Tottenham. He's a hero for us. So, whether it's more amplification of the idea that he doesn't do it in big games, there is an argument that he doesn't do it in big games. And you can't shake that. But we just got to hope that if Tottenham as a team can step up and get Tottenham into as many big games as possible, whether that be we start with Milan in February, see if we can push the FA Cup run, see if we can get some things going. Then eventually, if you bang the door enough times, sometimes it will open up. Am I saying something funny? I keep seeing everyone laughing or smiling.
No, it's comments about
comment.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to ask about breathing. I put the headset on the side, so I don't know what they're talking about. And I went upstairs for Johnny Cash. I don't know what they're on about.
Somebody's put a comment here that I would like to seamlessly link in. Just before I do that, actually, I'll read out a super chat. So Borodin, as always, thank you. Always a good supporter of the show. And by the way, if anyone hasn't, please press the like button. There's 170 of you in here and only 36 likes. So please smash that like button. It really does help. And if you would like to put any super chats, please do. Borodin said, do you guys think that Conte has learned anything about our players and how to optimize their potential? I mean, that's a real broad question. If we're talking about
mixed bag for me. You look at players like Bentancur, he's clearly coming on. Kulusevski's been flying. You look at other players like, Dyer, Davis. Are they really coming on anymore?
Is he asking about World Cup players? Is that what the question was?
Yeah, maybe. It's just
players played in the World Cup.
If he's asking about the World Cup, the obvious one for me is Perisic is better as a left wing forward than he is as a left wing back.
I agree. For me, I've said he's made some assists, but I've not been impressed with him as a wing back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's. I don't feel like he's got the engine to play that role, but he has looked a threat. I mean, some of his finishing has been a bit wayward, but he has looked a threat. He's got a couple of goals, and he's in the semi-finals of the World Cup with a Croatia team that, for me, have absolutely zero up front. So quite amazing, really, that they've made it there. But
I hope they win it. I hope they win it. I want them to win it.
Yeah, I like Croatia.
I want Argentina. I just feel Lionel Messi deserves a World Cup. Sorry, that's just me. And I picked them at the start. Everyone knows that. So it will be a bit of an I told you so. But we'll see. Tuesday night.
Do you guys think that... I spoke about, not to be plugging what I spoke about this morning too much, but I spoke about this, that Conte's got this rule, I think, that everyone that's come back from the World Cup's had 8 or 9 days. I originally thought it was 7, but I look back, I read the article. I think it's 8 or 9 days, right? And so now that we know that there's at least either Romero or Perisic that's going to make it to the final, and potentially Hugo Lloris, but on any account, all 3 of them will be playing on Saturday or Sunday next week in the third place playoff or the final. If Conte's going to stand by his rule and give everybody, including the successful ones, the 8-9 days off, then that would mean that maybe all 3 of them won't be available for the Brentford game. and when you're already missing, Sessegnon's not quite recovered from an injury. Davies has got his abdominal issue. Eric Dyer will be back, but so if you've got Bentancur's out as well, so do you think that, given that it's such a big game against Brentford, do you think that it's right to allow those guys the 9 days off, even if it means having to play Matt Doherty potentially at left wing back if Sessegnon and Perisic are not going to be there? And do you think we're screwed by having to play Sanchez in front of Kessie Romero when he's already missed all that time before the World Cup? Should you ask him to come back?
Yeah, exactly. That was my first. I was going to say exactly that. Well, when Romero off so he could go to the World Cup, he didn't want to risk any chance for us. Yeah. So now you've done that, get out there and start playing. Yeah. You took the piss before. Now you what was it? 3 or 4 games you didn't play?
Yeah, 4 games. I think it was.
Still not recovered, but then manages to recover quick enough for Argentina. Well, out you go. You should be fresh as a daisy.
Sean, does it matter, Sean, in terms of, from your point of view, in terms of the manner in which they come back? So, i.e., Christian Romero or Perisic wins the World Cup. I'm not worried about Hugo. For me, a goalkeeper plays, right? I just don't care, right? I don't care if it's to fly for 2 days straight. He played. If we look at Romero or Perisic, if one of them wins the World Cup and you're coming back, aren't you on the ultimate of highs in the world of football and you just want to play? Aren't you playing that person anyway? Like, they're just surely going to be euphoric, right?
You'd think so, but I'd imagine that he'd want to fly back from Qatar back to Argentina with his teammates to have like a knees up, you know? And that's like, you can't get up. That's why I'm so flabbergasted by how many Argentinian fans have made it to the World Cup. I know it's probably Messi's last one, but their stadiums are like 80% Argentina fans when they play. And yet Argentina is about as far away from Qatar as you can get. Yeah. And apparently like their economy's in the mud. Like, you'd imagine that most Argentinians wouldn't be able to afford all that, you know, to be able to afford the cost of the flights and the hotels and stuff. But yet it's a big party time. So if Argentina do make it go all the way, I would imagine that Romero's first priority is to celebrate it with his team and his players. And again, that is another reason, if that is true, again, I'm speculating, but I just don't think that Romero, his priorities, you know, that whole thing with Wales, it was like with Gareth Bale, golf, Wales, Real Madrid in that order. I think it's the same with Romero, but I don't know if golf's in there. You know, I just think Tottenham is right at the bottom of his priority list.
It's a little bit stranger with Argentina compared to a lot of other nations, though, because they really do live and breathe it. Because for ages it was their escape from that horrible dictatorship they were under for so many decades. And I remember some of their fans saying, you know, we haven't got anything. We've got nothing in this nation. All we've got is our football. We must have it, and it's kind of like ingrained in all the players. It's like the ultimate thing representing the nation. Yeah. Because literally everybody idolizes you, desperate for the win. So I kind of get it. It's just a cultural thing. You drop everything for your country.
But guys, you're worrying. You're worrying, Coover. Look, we saw Spurs play on Friday. We saw Sayers. He started against Motherwell, didn't he? So maybe they're lining up Sayers. I mean, look, let's be honest. He'll just go with a back three of Dyer,
Longley, and Sanchez, probably, right?
Dyer, Longley, Sanchez, or Tanganga. I think we'll have cover there. But as you said, if there's no Perisic at wing back and there's no Sessegnon at wing back, are we then looking at Doherty on the left and Royal? It's all hit home again.
I'm so glad I didn't hear that name for a month, and now it's fucking coming back.
We're going to be talking about him in a minute via Jed Spence. It's I don't know what this means. Is Pete?
Who's Amy Barlow?
Who's Amy Barlow and who's her boyfriend?
Coronation Street, isn't it?
I don't get it. I don't watch it, so someone let me know what that's about because I have no idea.
I'm gonna have to Google this now.
Yeah, she assault.
Sean, if you Google it, put it on the screen and I'll put it
I think she's like a 16-year-old on Coronation Street.
I know Gary Glitter. Calm down.
Amy Barlow's boyfriend. Who
is 40 for fuck's sake.
I mean, guys. Yeah, look. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? We're about to come back. Look, we've got a few games coming up, right? I believe our first game is Bournemouth away on Boxing Day. Guys, are we expecting to see anything different Are we expecting to see what I kept hearing the first half of the season, the first 14 games, was that we're conserving energy. We're conserving energy. Do you remember everyone was saying it? Yeah. Are we expecting to see anything different? Are we expecting to see a Spurs team that come out and we're at it from the beginning and we're not giving teams 1-0 and 2-0 head starts every single game?
No.
No?
No.
Same as.
Someone give me some hope.
But my hope is that Jed Spence, in the first game that we've had a chance to see a right wing back, in the month that the 3 weeks that Conte has had with the boys who didn't go to World Cups, he decided to play Jed Spence ahead of Doherty and ahead of Emerson Royale. So my hope, and it's all that it is hope, is that in that 3 weeks, maybe Jed Spence and Conte started to get on the same wavelength about whether whether Jed Spence is should get some more chances than he has, and we'll see in the game against Nice on the 21st, right?
Well, here you go. So the first talking point I wanted to go into for individual players is going to be about Jed Spence. Like you just said there, Sean, we watched the game together. And look, it's really difficult gauging how good a player is when it's a friendly on a game that looked like it was in my back garden. Do you know what I mean? It was all a bit strange. But what he did do, he did well. He looked comfortable on the ball. He looked like he wanted to rampage forward at every moment and go and join in attacks. What are we gonna see here, guys? Are we gonna see Jed Spence given a chance? Are we gonna see him sitting on a bench? Are we gonna see him go on loan? What do we think is gonna happen?
Emerson Royale and get to see one of his no-look headers.
Oh dear!
What do you reckon in the game against Brentford? You're saying
we were talking about stubbornness in managers earlier, and that they just pick their favourites, and for some reason, Emerson Royale, Conte just loves him.
Yeah,
don't get it, but there it is. I just don't think these players that have been fringe players all this way throughout the season are just suddenly going to break into the team. I think Mate Sarr and Jed Spence, if they don't go out on loan, it's a waste of their talent.
Matar Sarr is an easy one. We've got we're oversubscribed in that position.
Yeah.
Right. So that one makes absolutely no sense to keep him around. Like, God knows if he's any good or not. For every Tottenham fan that's crying out to see Jed Spence, no one's crying out to see Pape Matar Sarr. So I don't think there's any pressure on the board or the club to keep him around and give him games. Let him go out, develop somewhere. Maybe he's Championship level, maybe he's Premier League level. Who knows? Got no idea. Jed Spence, I was with you, Coop. I was of the idea a few weeks ago that he should go out on loan. And I'm still of that idea if we can go and sign a Pedro Porro, and I'm sure we're going to talk about all that stuff, right? But if the three of them still hang around and we don't sign a better one, I don't think you should loan him out. I think, and I'm hoping that maybe if he starts the game against Nice, I think that could be a sign that maybe Conte's preparing him to give him a berth this half of the season. But that's just, like I say, maybe it's more hope than insight.
Yeah, I mean, look, Pete, are you a full house? Or are you fully expecting to see Emerson Royale or Doherty start and Spence to be on the bench, or do you? Let me rephrase this: if he doesn't start, Pete, but yet we don't loan him out, what are we actually doing? What's the point?
Don't know. Yeah, if he's not going to get games, loan him out, because he's just going to deteriorate if we don't. He's not going to do anything. And we've seen that before with so many of our players over the years where we don't loan them out. Carl Walker-Peters, maybe Harry Winks would be better if we actually loaned him out rather than him sit on a bench coming on for 10 minutes here or there. We've seen what we've done with Skip. Although fans took that far too far and made that we brought back in the best midfield on the planet. But loan him out. If he's not going to play, loan him out. And he still has to justify it to me how Royal's better than him, because I don't see it. But that's another argument.
So basically what I'm hearing from all three of you is that we've got no chance of seeing Jed Spence start away at Bournemouth on Boxing Day.
Brentford.
No, I can't see it.
No. Well, that's good. I'm glad we covered that. It's any chance that Spence goes out on loan, guys? I mean, completely separate to him starting. Do we see him going on loan? And do you think it's going to be a Premier League team?
Could well be. Trying to think who's a bit lightweight in that position at the moment.
Us.
Yeah.
West Ham might take him on loan. I saw those rumours going around a little while ago. But
Possible.
I think he might start in this. I think the game, if he starts against Nice, I think you'll see him start against Brentford. Is it Brentford or is it Bournemouth? What's the team we're playing on Boxing Day?
Brentford.
Yeah. So did I say
if he starts at Brentford, it might be a sign. If he doesn't, then it's an omen that it's going to be same as his status quo is going to be maintained.
And he played well. Yeah. He played well against. I know, like you said, Sav, Motherwell's. What can you take from it? But
I think this window we can loan him out to a Premier League club where we couldn't last window because we only just bought him. So I think this is the first window we can actually loan him out to another Premier League team.
Is that
which Premier League team, guys? Realistically, who's he going to? Because Nottingham Forest have signed about 54 right backs since last season. I jest. I think it was just the 4 right backs they've signed. I think they signed like
better than Royal.
They've signed Aurier. They've signed. Oh, who's the world? Nico Williams. Is it Lodi? So they've got all these players. But guys, where could we see him go on loan? Where would be good for him?
Somewhere's going to play.
Everton.
Fulham, maybe. I'm trying to think teams that are going to be fairly like I said, lightweight on in terms of squad numbers. Need a bit of cover there. Likely to get a game. They're the 2 that really spring to mind. I think Brentford have got a bit of depth considering none of them are sort of household names. They've done well for themselves. I think we know Forest have got tons of players, like 2 million on the books at the moment. I don't see who else it's going to be apart from teams that are recently promoted or relatively smaller teams at the moment.
Someone like West Ham,
maybe.
What about West Ham, Cove?
Yeah, possible. I don't know what their injury situation's like. They've certainly taken one of our ex wing backs on the books before, and Ryan Fredericks. So
yeah, they did. Yeah,
West Ham.
I'd take Ryan Fredericks over Royal, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, isn't it? Palace.
The problem with loaning him to West Ham is that West Ham play a flat back 4. So if you're trying to develop him through a 3-5-2, don't know if him.
I don't think we're going to find one that's going to play that position because most teams do play a back 4.
Yeah,
we're one of the rare few that don't.
Yeah, this is
part of the problem.
I don't think it's necessarily right to call it a flat back 4, though. I mean, a lot of teams still play with very attacking fullbacks,
back 4,
even in that position. Pochettino, that was a 4-2-3-1, but Walker and Rose certainly weren't in a flat back 4.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Let's move on from that. I want to talk about this guy. Now, again, these are reports for everyone in the chat. Shout to me. There are reports that this guy, the undercar of Frankfurt, who is going to be a free transfer in the summer. There are rumors that he has signed a pre-contract agreement with them lot down the road. What's your initial thoughts on hearing that? Bothered? Not bothered? Is it just typical that we would miss out and Arsenal would go for a signing like this? Sean, where do you sit with that?
Bothered. Yeah, if it's true, bothered. He's I really, really like Ndicka. I thought in his first game in the away leg when we went to Frankfurt, he didn't really do much, and I was like, oh, that's a bit disappointing. But in the home leg, I thought he was great. I've kept an eye on him in the Bundesliga whenever I flip through on that Y-Scout tool. And I think he's just got all the attributes to become a really, really good player. And he's in a problem position. There's not, it's easier to find right-sided centre-backs. It's easier to find central centre-backs because they're mainly, because most people are right-footed. You need a left footer, and Ndicka's a fantastic left-footed centre-back with bags and bags of potential. And we should have signed him in the summer. We didn't. If it's true that he's gone to Arsenal, that's a real shame because, we've only got Longley for the next 6 months. We haven't solved for that position. And he was one there that should have been a Paratici dream signing, free transfer. Free transfer, pay the guy some decent money. He's probably only earning 30 grand a week in Germany. You let him double his money, 60 grand. That's still not a lot for a class centre back. and then you've got that position hopefully sorted for the next at least 5 years, right? And then
do you agree? Do you agree with this comment, Sean? I mean, I've never ever thought this. I mean, whenever I've watched this guy play, not one part of my brain has gone, "Oh, he's Davinson Sanchez Mark II."
He's definitely raw. Like, he makes mistakes. He does,
course.
right? But he's 21, whatever he's 22, 21 years old. But I see, you got to look beyond it and think, where could he be in 2 years' time? And does he have the kind of, first of all, the character traits, the physical attributes, the pace to play in a back three? Does he have the distribution, the natural distribution and vision? And on all those fronts, the answers to those questions are yes, yes, and yes. And so I would have liked him. It's a shame. But listen, I don't know if it's confirmed, is it? It's not confirmed that he's going to.
No, of course. Like most things, we don't know if anything's confirmed. If every rumour was true, Spurs would have 400 players joining in January. So, we'll just see where we go. Pete, it just feels like, let's play the hypothetical game that he has joined Arsenal, right? It would just be such a shame that another player that plays in a position that we need, that's not going to cost them anything. It just seems like another club has gone out and got their business done, and we're still not making moves in those areas. And I'm not even seeing us linked to anybody else in centre-back. Well, what do you make of it, Pete?
Business as usual for us, isn't it? Sit on our toes, sit on our hands, while everyone else does the business. And then we'll sort of have a rough scramble at the end and buy a load of shit. That's a Tottenham template for transfers, isn't it? Everyone else does the smart business. We never do. We'll only. If he was 17, we probably would have bought him by now. But because
do you think the Paratici thing is distracting him, though, Pete? Do you think that any of that stuff is like meaning that he can't focus on getting these conversations?
Well, if he can't do his job, then get rid of him.
Yeah,
we should get rid of him anyway. But I'm not being funny. We can't afford to, and the same with Conte and all that. We can't afford to be standing still while other clubs are still moving. If these things are problems, then that's down on Daniel Levy to then do something about it.
Yeah, I agree.
So either put him on garden leave or whatever it is, and say, right, we need to. He must have. He signed up another 15 scouts since he's been at the club. We signed more backroom staff than players. So one of them can surely take the reins while he's packing up his toothbrush and that. But that can't be an excuse for us. Sorry, no,
not an excuse. Yeah, definitely not an excuse. I was thinking, is it an explanation? And you're right. If it is an explanation, then it's a hindrance. We got to cut ties.
That's down on Daniel Levy to sort it out.
Yeah. I think we're desperate to get Harry Redknapp back so he can just sit there leaning out of his car window on transfer deadline day, talking us through all the players we nearly signed.
Terrific.
That used to be the day, though, wouldn't it? They were the days. Come on, you love transfer deadline day. That was the best thing. It's a shame that got ruined. Really, you had him out the window. Then you had the creatures up at Stoke harassing the geezer outside the training ground. Things you've never seen before. You think, what is that? And then you go to another ground, and there's a geezer getting a blow-up cock wrapped around his head and a dildo in his. You know what I mean? But it was banter, wasn't it? But then the idiots took it too far. Started swearing in front of the camera. But those were the days. But when you got to Stoke or Burnley, oh fucking hell! Satan, he's not.
Brilliant.
I'll tell you what, the Peter Rodden wingy one was classic.
Oh, fucking, isn't it?
What's he driven
car
down
park,
from West Brom to QPR, right? And he's not. The transfer didn't go through. Absolutely,
he's in the car park when he weren't leaving until he got signed.
Yeah, because do you remember that nearly happened? That nearly happened with Aubameyang, didn't it? With Barcelona recently, because he'd flown out there and the deal wasn't agreed. Look, Kuva, look, Undekar, however his name is pronounced. We don't know if it's true, but again, I'm hearing that Arsenal have got deals agreed with him. I'm hearing that Arsenal have got a deal agreed with Tielemans. There's rumours that they're sniffing around Vlahovic. It just feels like they've got a bit of a plan going there, Kuva, and you can see what they're doing. Would that be? I know we don't want to say nice things about them lot, but it does feel that way to me.
They might not get all of these players that they're going for, but they are at least making an effort to try and get them. And they do get some of them. They got Jesus, they got Zinchenko. Good signings for them. What do? As Pete was alluding to, we just sit on our bloody hands. and then just watch it all go by. And when it's all too late, go, oh, probably should have got him. It's just been like this for bloody years. Sick of it. I don't expect any change. So, Indica, good, great young player. I think, as Sean said, loads of potential. He ticks a lot of the boxes. It's just the sort of player you want coming in. Young, grows with the club, form those partnerships with the players around him. We'd be then looking at replace Dyer with a really commanding centre back like a Skriniar or someone like that. We've suddenly got a central defence that's sorted out for about a decade.
Yeah,
it's the sort of thing we should be going for, but of course we won't. So Ryan Nelson
makes too much sense. Makes too much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ryan Nelson, come out of retirement, please. We need a centre half. We'll get him. I mean, maybe Chris Perry is feeling sprightly.
Yeah.
Maybe we could. Everyone remember Chris Perry?
Anthony Gardner.
Yeah.
Anthony Gardner, Chris Perry, a bit of Alton Thirlwell.
I'd settle for Dawson still, come back rather than fucking Eric Dyer.
Mate, listen, he still looks in fine settle. Does old Michael Dawson.
Forgot his first name, was it, from Newcastle? Scott, wasn't it?
Kevin Scott.
Kevin Scott. That's it.
Kevin Scott and Stuart Nethercott as a centre-half powerhouse partnership.
Gary Doherty.
I mean, just quickly.
My all-time favourite, Alton Thelwell.
Oh, mate, come on. Legend. Just quickly, before we carry on talking about awful centre-backs of the past, Steve Titelbaum has said, apologies if I've murdered your name, Savva forgetting England pre-Southgate, I don't.
What happened then? We win something.
What happened pre-Southgate that I'm missing? I also remember us getting knocked out in plenty of quarterfinals pre-Southgate. I just don't remember having as much quality as we've got now. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. Guys, look, if Arsenal do get him, that'll be, listen, I know lots of Spurs fans will do the whole, oh, he's not that good anyway, blah, blah, blah. But if we're not going to get him, another player that we've been linked with is this guy. I know obviously they play in different positions, but is Pedro Porro of Sporting Lisbon. Now, this is a guy I think has impressed a lot of people. We've obviously got to see him play against Spurs a couple of times. He was on the books at Manchester City before going back to Portugal. 23 years of age, can play right wing back, can play right wing. Is this just a no-brainer? And my worry, if it is a no-brainer, Sean, is that Spurs don't tend to do no-brainers. We tend to make it really difficult for ourselves. So what do you make of this situation?
Well, look, he's a buyout clause candidate, right? 38 million euros or 38 million pound. I'm not sure which one it is. The interesting part of the whole story, though, is that Manchester City allegedly also have an 18 million pound buyback clause. So they can activate that if they want to, or if they don't, they get 30% of whatever the sell-on is if he goes somewhere else. The argument is
that is true, Sean. He has got a 30 million euro buyback clause. You just know we'll be in negotiations with him, mate. And at the last minute they'll go, "Oh, go on then. Walker's getting a bit old. Go on, come on, Porro,
come back." Well, that's a worry, right? Because I do think this guy is that good.
Yeah.
He's got I love that tall Y Scout, right? Just you can see everything about this guy in just little snippets. And for me, he's so. He's like an all-rounder, like a Freddie Flintoff of the cricket team. Like he's good going forward. He's very good going back. His vision of his pass, his crossing, his whips coming in. He's got 4 assists already this season in 10 games. I think he got 4 goals and 4 assists in the second half of last season. He's got 8 assists in 18 games or something as a wing-back for a team that, it's a good team and it does well in Portugal, obviously. But I'm a massive fan of him. And it comes down to whether or not you fancy, if you think the value's in there, right? It's 38 million quid. That's what it's going to take to get him. Is there value in that relative to value in Denzel Dumfries at 25 million? Now, someone's got to make that decision. I personally don't like Dumfries. I really like Pedro Porro. So for me, the way I'd rather justify it is by saying you paid 28 million quid for Emerson Royale. You paid a net 33 million quid for Brian Hill. If you can find a way to justify spending that much money on those 2 players, then you can find a way to justify an extra 5 million for this kid from Portugal because he's class, in my opinion. And again, the runway for his potential growth is very long.
just quickly before we carry on, Coover, I think you're struggling and succumbing to the COVID. Apparently, I hope it's not. Hope you feel better soon.
Not as well. Got a cold sweat coming on now.
We'll WhatsApp you later to make sure you're okay. But feel free to drop off, mate, and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, cheers, lad. Sorry about that, sir.
Cheers.
Good luck, mate. Good luck with yourself.
Health's more important than chatting about Spurs.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I'll try.
See you, mate.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Cheers.
Good show.
Pete, Pedro Porro, just before we go on to that, please smash that like button. There are 194 of you in the chat, only 59 likes. It is free to press the like button, and it really does help YouTubers. So please, could you smash that like button? Please subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe to @North London which is Pete's channel, and the Spurs Talk Show, which is Sean's channel. So please get those in. Pete, Pedro Porro, do we have a chance? I mean, if he's this good, will there not be other clubs sniffing around him? Man City possibly buying back? What do you reckon?
Well, it goes back to that. So what I just said before. Do you sit on your hands, or do you go and do stuff early? You wait to what we don't like is we sit and wait, and then when the big sharks come, we tend to run away.
Yeah.
So don't wait that long. Just go and do it like every other club managers do it. Just do your business, get it done under the radar. Bosh, in he comes. Happy days.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because sometimes you see a player and you just think it's it is a no-brainer, right? Sorry to repeat myself, but you just think, well, there's no downside to this. He plays in a formation that's going to work for us, right? He's at a good age. Let's be fair, 38 million euros in 2022 is not breaking the bank for anybody.
No.
And this is the sort of bloke that he could be your right wing back for the next 4 or 5 years. And I look at it a bit further as well and go, hang on, well, next season, then if Conte is here and you've got him at right wing back, you've got Adoji at left wing back. I mean, you're sorted for a few years, right, at the wing back. So
hopefully, yeah.
All of these things that I'm saying that hopefully are making a lot of sense. Are they the reason?
It's the reason why we won't do it.
Right.
There you go. That's it, isn't it?
That's the worry. I mean, how big a drop off is Dumfries from Porro, Sean? In your opinion, I know you're not the biggest Dumfries fan, are you?
No, I'm not a fan of him at all. I think that every dog has his day, or whatever the phrase is. He's had a decent World Cup, and he looked really good in one particular game where he was whipping balls in, but he was under no pressure. Even the goal he scored, he had like 6 feet around him in any direction before the next player. Like, I don't think you can take that sort of performance and like align it to what he's going to receive in the Premier League. Like, I just don't think he's going to have that much time. And I think he's a player that's got mistakes in him. I know a whole bunch of Inter Milan fans that are English, but they're passionate Inter Milan fans, and they are laughing their head off that, you know, the Inter Milan or that Denzel Dumfries might have pulled the wool over the Premier League's eyes, and that there's going to be a bidding war. Like, Inter want to get rid of him, you know.
So, ain't it the same Inter? Sorry, Sean. Ain't it the same Inter Milan, that one, Emerson Royal?
No, exactly. But these fans of mine saying I would take Emerson Royal over Denzel Dumfries, right?
I can't believe that. I've not watched him, clearly.
Well, but that's the thing. But they have watched a lot of Denzel Dumfries, right? And so I'm not basing my entire opinion on what they say, but I tend to go with them. I don't think that Denzel Dumfries is a massive improvement. Physically, he's a specimen. He's fast. He's all that stuff. And if he could sort his head out and stop making mistakes and things, then maybe he does have the potential to fit in. And again, maybe it's horses for courses to come to the Premier League. Maybe he fits the style better. I don't know. But for me, I think if you compare the two, there's certainly, if Denzel's going to cost 25 and Pedro Porro is going to cost 38, you find the money for the better option.
Does that go to the point of what's been written here then, Sean, in terms of, you know, Phil, good point, saying, is Pedro Porro a Conte-style wing-back? He tends to go for a more powerful wing-back, which would probably be Denzel Dumfries.
Yeah.
But, Sean, I'm hearing, I say I'm hearing like I'm inside the club, you know what I mean? I'm hearing like,
Have you got your gold medal? Have you got your gold medal in your name? Tier 1,
mate, yeah? I'm tier 2. I'm still trying to get to tier 1. I'm hearing that 52 million for Denzel Dumfries is the figure being bandied about, Sean. I mean, that's mental, right? Isn't it? 52 million for him?
I think that was the same person. That was the same article that said that we might sign him and then loan him back.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Which does sound like a teachy thing to do.
And also, but I don't think there's any truth to it because I don't think Inter want him. They want to get rid of him. It'd be like saying, "Oh, I'll sell you my COVID as long as I can loan COVID back." Like you don't want it, right? You want to get rid of it. So I just don't think that there's any truth to that one. He maybe his valuation has improved because he had a good World Cup. Mm-hmm. That tends to happen. But if Inter Milan are in financial problems as well, don't forget, right? There's only 2 teams in the Serie A that are in the black. Everyone else is losing money. And it's on a scale of bad to horrendous. And Inter Milan they're not at the same level as like Juve. Yeah. They're not far away from that. I think they're second or third most financially troubled, in the Serie A. So if they were to get a bid for 25 million, I think you'd find they'd bite your hand off for it.
But I don't do that, though, do we? We don't act predatory like that, where you see a team that's skint and got a player you want or could do with. We don't go and do that. We tend to go somewhere else, and you think, why?
Yeah. No, I agree.
They're for the taking. The only time we've ever done that, and he fucked it up, was with Jack Grealish. When Levy took it too far, tried to get him for practically nothing, and then the new owner come in 10 minutes later, went, stick up your arse. But normally we don't do that. We said this before, the whole Italian league, whole European football is financially crippled. A lot of clubs. You think, go and throw money at them, stick pound notes under their nose and say, we'll have him, and it solves their problems. They will sell because they got no choice.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly on the subject of wing backs, both left and right wing back, I'd look no further than some of the Argentinian lads that I've seen play. I know they keep rotating it, but I look at Acuna of Argentina, looks like a real hard, dirty little bloke that gets up and back, loves a tackle.
See the left back Acuna plays for. Are you talking about? Oh wait.
Yeah. He plays. He's been playing left wing back for Argentina.
Yeah. We played against him in the summer, didn't we?
Yeah, for Seville.
Seville. Yeah, he's a real good player. Really,
you've got Molina.
Horrible guy.
But I think we need a bit of that. I think we need that. You want your wing backs to be, first of all, they've got to be able to get up and back, and they've got to be happy in the tackle, right? And when I've watched this year with Argentina, Montiel, Molina, Acuna, they just look, I don't know, they just look hard. They look like men. Do you know what I mean? They love a scrap. We seem to go for Sessignons, and
nice
Royals,
boys.
and it's all a bit.
The sort of left backs you take home to meet your mum, kind of thing.
Yeah. You'd say, "Oh, Ryan Sessignon's a nice guy. Come and meet my mum."
Yeah. But I don't know if I want any more Argentinians though, mate. I don't know. Like I've got, as much as I completely 100% agree with you that they're bred a little bit differently. They're quite aggressive and nasty. I don't know if I like. I don't want. Every time there's an international break, they fly away and they play in the middle of the night, and then it takes them 4 days to come back. I don't know if I want any more Argentinians.
That's a valid point. What if
the Argentinian on offer was Lionel Messi for a year?
Well, that's a no-brainer.
I'd get over that one. Yeah, I'd get over that problem.
You watch. Someone in the chat will tell me he doesn't fit into a Conte system in a minute. No, he doesn't. He's been sensational. Borodin, Dumfries Town is better than Royale. I don't think Sean's saying he's not better than Royale.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
What we're saying is, like most of you, I saw him against the USA and he looked like a world beater. I've also seen many games where I think, come on, man, like you need to do more. And I think, do we want to go from Royale to another maybe type player? Do you know what I'm? There's lots of good players out there. Pete, let me start with you. Let's look at another bloke. So we've talked about Spence and Decker. I want to talk about this guy. Now, lots of things we heard about Bastoni in the summer was that Spurs had put in a bid and this, that, and the other, and apparently it wasn't the right time. We can get him next year. We're waiting until next year to when he's available to leave. He's come out and basically said it was never going to happen, right? He didn't want to leave Inter Milan, which, first of all, me, Pete, with the whole kind of in the nose, means that, for me, I think it means that they absolutely knew nothing. All they knew was that Conte liked Bastoni.
Yeah.
But I was told that this is who we were going back for, and this is why we got Longley on loan and didn't get a top centre half. Doesn't this comment tell you that that's just complete nonsense?
Of course, we knew at the time when the player says he doesn't want to come, he doesn't want to come. It's not the club saying they won't sell and trying to earn like brinksmanship to get a few more quid out the buying club. The player was not interested, never was interested, and from the sounds of things, never will be interested. So move on. All this, we're waiting for him and all that. It was all crap. None of these know absolutely jack shit. Because it was so obvious from the comments of the player, he had no intention to come into this club whatsoever, no matter what. Inter Milan might wanted him to go to solve their financial problem, but he had no interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, Sean, it feels like, because I don't know whether it was because Conte brought him through whilst at Inter Milan. I don't know if it's because he's one of the most highly rated left-sided centre halves out in Europe, but it feels like this name won't go away. Are we setting our sights for something here that's completely unrealistic? And when I say we, I mean Tottenham as a club. Aren't there more realistic deals like Undercut, for example?
Yeah. Look, sometimes you have to shake hands with yourself, right, and just say, "Well, look, this is where we're at as a club. We're not as desirable as X." And Manchester City for money, Liverpool for brand, Manchester United maybe for brand, Chelsea for money, Arsenal for football. Maybe you got to shake hands with yourself and just say, okay, if we need to learn a lesson here, this is why I've been saying, as much as I and everybody else would love to sign Josko Gvardiol, you know that guy's contract was set in a way with the release clause to create a bidding war, and it was artificially you set if you're trying to sell your house, right? And it's worth 500 grand. Some smart little estate agent might say stick it at 450, and then you'll create a bidding war and end up getting far more than you would have done had you priced it effectively. To me, if you just take the reality of the situation, that if Chelsea and any club of that ilk or higher are after Josko Gvardiol, like, why bother spending all those hours trying to convince a guy that's end up going to go somewhere else anyway? Why not go and take advantage of the fact that these other clubs are wasting time in a bidding war, and go and get a player that could be just as good, or maybe just a slight tier down, like an Antonio Silva. Go and have a word with Benfica, who are a selling club. Benfica have raised £1 billion or €1 billion in transfer sales over the last 20 years. They are happy to sell Young. They're happy to sell any of their players. And I don't think there'll be a queue quite as long for him as there is for Gvardiol. But if you're going to wait in line for Gvardiol and not going to get him anyway, opportunity cost. Go and speak to some other teams. And I think Bastoni is the lesson there. If we spent all last summer trying to hanging our hat on that one, just like Liverpool did with Tchouaméni, and Tchouaméni ended up going to Real Madrid anyway, Liverpool ended up getting fucked and having no midfield, no reliable, energetic midfield. And Liverpool are now struggling as a consequence. Tottenham should learn the lesson from Bastoni and probably not waste our time trying to get Gvardiol. Go and get somebody else.
Yeah, just Pete, just quickly before I come to you, David Clark, the accusation you've made here is just way off base, my man. When you said Spurs didn't put it out that Bastoni was going to be ours next season, it's me believing the BS press. I don't believe the BS press. What I'm saying is the number of fans that are telling me the reason why we didn't sign a centre half in the window was because apparently we only want 2 players that Conte wanted, one of which was Bastoni and wasn't available till next summer. That's what people were telling themselves to make themselves feel better. So no, David, I wasn't believing the press. You should hear the way I talk about the in the nose and the press. Pete, I mean, let's wrap Bastoni into the Gvardiol conversation, because I keep still seeing in the chat, and whenever I'm having conversations with Tottenham fans on YouTube and Instagram, Spurs fans believing that we can get Gvardiol, right? Let's be truly honest about this. Chelsea whacked in, in the last week of the window, a £80 million bid, I believe, to RB Leipzig, something like that.
That wasn't it? Yeah.
Right? What does that tell you about where Gvardiol is going to end up next? It's going to be Chelsea, right? It's not going to be Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I believe you're right. There's 2 ways of answering this question for me. First is and I've said before, you're going from where we are to the top end of the shopping basket straight away, which is very, very unlikely when there's a big layer in between. So we probably more realistically going there. But on the other hand, you're like, well, what do we move stadiums for and all the rest of it, if not to go for these sorts of players? So where are we? Because at the moment we're not doing either.
I get it. I get it, but the thing is, Pete, let's be really, really honest, right? Chelsea, the rumours I'm hearing is that a deal is being done in the background between Chelsea and Gvardiol. Now, the reason I believe this to be true is A, because it was official that they put in a bid but didn't have time to get it over the line last summer, right? B, because we know that Chelsea and RB Leipzig have a link because they've done business with Nkunku. They're getting the technical director of football, right? C, we know that RB Leipzig will sell. Like they're probably, like you just said, Sean, the kind of German version of
Benfica.
Sporting. Whereas they might not produce them, they have a brilliant scouting department. They bring through players that they get in cheap and then they sell them for mega bucks. I mean, Pete, I get it. We wanted to move stadium, so that we could go and get these types of players. But like you said, there is that layer there, but Spurs don't seem to go in there. We seem to go there, but yet fans want players that are there. So how's this disconnect ever gonna marry itself up again?
I don't know, because you look at the owners, you look at the sporting director, this is all same old rubbish, isn't it? None of them seem to know what either one wants to do. It's hard. I don't know what we're going to do. That's the bottom end of it. We'll probably end up going back to the Championship again and getting another Joe Rodon. He's coming back on loan, so everything will be all right. Do you know what I mean? But I've watched that Gvardiol a lot, and you see him, you think, fuck it, he is quality.
Oh, he's brilliant.
He is quality. Even if you put in a bid and they said yes and he said no, you've done your bit. You can't ask any more than that.
So, for me, Gvardiol will come in, and for me, I'm going to say it, people are going to hate me for saying this. Please don't hate me. I think he's much better than Romero already.
Oh, all day long.
Immediately.
All day long.
I don't think Romero's kicked on like we hoped he would. His first season, he's been very injury prone. Yeah. I really, really hope that the poor showing this season is a combination of injury and also distracted by the World Cup. And once that's done, he comes back and gets back into some sort of motoring that we saw from him when he first arrived last season. But he hasn't kicked on. And people saying that he's a Rolls-Royce defender. Like, he's not a Rolls-Royce defender.
Gvardiol.
No. I want Gvardiol play in a very organised. I mean, let's be honest. Anyone who's watched Croatia at this World Cup, Croatia are not this dynamic football team. They have a lot of the ball because you would expect that with Brozovic, Kovacic and Modric. But they have very little going forward and they are solid at the back. But they're not this world-class team, right? But when you watch Gvardiol play for them, that boy is a monster.
He's getting everything, isn't he? He's in everything.
He's involved in everything in his own box. Clearing the ball, heading it out.
He's a magnet for the ball.
Tackling everything. He's winning every tackle. Every tackle's clean. What I've seen, he's been immense from what I've seen so far. And you think, boy, you wouldn't mind having him in your back line.
And that is why, Peter Simons, that is why I would say, when we look at just make a massive offer, he says no, walk away. I think it doesn't matter if we make a massive offer now. Let's be realistic. This is going to be Daniel Levy. Yeah. We can make
that's 20 million. That's the massive offers for him.
But Pete, the point is, if we make the massive offer, Chelsea, Man City, I don't know, whoever will want him, it won't. We're not the only club that needs centre backs. They will go in and whatever we offer, they won't just beat the fee, will they? They'll absolutely destroy us when it comes to wages.
Yeah, I agree. But at some point, that has to change. When and if is another thing, but that's what we move.
That's why I can't wait to see the financial figures.
Yeah, so can I. Sure. Any update on that yet, mate?
No, well, they haven't been released. It's annoying because I really want to see how much profit. We've had a full year now without COVID interruptions. Everyone's back, full stadiums, all these other Super Bowls, all that stuff. I want to see what that looks like on a profit and loss account.
Normally, when we're waiting that long for something like that, that normally means that Daniel Levy's preparing a shit sandwich somewhere.
I agree.
A couple of shit announcements, and I whack that in there as well. It's written, isn't it? It's like, have you seen that film Zero Dark 30?
No, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
Oh yeah, yes. Where a girl, she finds the Bin Laden base, and they're waiting ages for them to do anything about it. And every day she runs up to the geezer's office, writes how many days they've done nothing for on a window. So far, 28 days, 50 days since we knew this. That's exactly where we are now with the financial results.
And another one, guys. I mean, look, I know Kuva didn't watch the World Cup, but from all the World Cup games, I've been so seriously impressed by the defending more than I have with attackers, if I'm honest, at this World Cup. Like Peter says here, some of those Moroccan centre halves were just outstanding.
Yeah.
I felt the same with Saudi Arabia. Some of their centre halves, again, they're not going to be names that anyone rolls off the tongue and says, "Go and get this bloke, that bloke." But why are we unable to scout those players? Like, even is it Roman Saiss, who plays at centre half for Morocco, that plays for Wolves?
Yeah,
was an absolute monster in every game I watched him. Just brilliant.
Yeah, the Serbian Milenkovic. I know he doesn't. He's been around for a while for Fiorentina. I think he's an absolute. He's another magnet, right? Like you were talking about Gvardiol, how he just wins everything. Like sometimes I think some players are just attracted to the ball and they want it. They go after it. They'll find a way when the ball's getting whipped in. They attack the ball and go and win it. I don't think you can say the same about Dyer and Davies, or Sanchez or Tanganga. Right, or even Romero. To be honest, I don't think that anyone. But they maybe it's because of zonal marking versus whatever the way the setup is. I'm not a coach, so I don't know how all that shit works necessarily. But like I just feel like there's certain players that just move for the ball, get it. It doesn't matter if they're taking 4 players out at the same time. They want that ball, and I think Milenkovic is maybe a poor man's version of Gvardiol, but he's one of those players that I think would improve Tottenham immediately.
I agree. I mean, yeah, look, TT Tone, listen, I think we'd all love to see a £70 million bid for Gvardiol. I can only imagine if we did, Chelsea are going to go straight in and go 70, there's 80, 85.
And 400 grand a week or something.
And 400 grand a week as opposed to 150 grand a week. And you're going to be joining a club that has a history of winning things. I just can't say. Are we all agreed that there's not even a 1% chance that Gvardiol is going to be a Tottenham Hotspur player, or has anyone got any hope?
No.
And that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Normally, someone would be able to give a little bit of positivity. Ed Emma said Gvardiol getting the plaudits, and rightly so. But I think Dejan Lovren has been fantastic.
Lovren's been awesome as well. Yeah.
I agree, he's been very good. I also like the. I know people will laugh at me. I would take a punt on Juranovic, the right back for Croatia, who plays for Rangers. Is it Rangers or Celtic? Someone will tell me in the chat. Every game I've watched him, he's everything that I want to see from our wing backs. He is up and down, getting involved, whipping the ball in, good in the tackle, and also Sosa on the other. Sosa on the other side. Players everywhere, lads. There are good players everywhere across the world. Pete,
what do you think about that Kyrgios for the Polish fellow we were linked to? Kyrgios, sorry. Do you remember Kyrgios? He's another big lump of a guy. I thought he looked really good next to the guy that was playing next to him, Skridge or something. He looked like a bit of a builder. Like he had a bit of a tubby belly on him. Do you remember the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Kyrgios to me looks like a good. Yeah,
you wouldn't want to fight him in the pub. He looked like he was right out. Yeah. I mean, look, I liked what I saw. Again, not as much because Poland
didn't do as well. Yeah, didn't go as far.
Poland weren't in the competition long. But this is what I mean. This is what I was expecting when you're bringing in a Paratici. That these types of players are going to be scouted and brought in. And yeah, we can all be experts. We can all be, sit in our armchairs and go, "Oh, buy that player." But I just feel that we need to be really clever with signings rather than targeting Bastonis and Gvardiols. Not everyone will attract a Gvardiol or a Bastoni. Because if you're Gvardiol's agent right now, lads, you're sitting there saying to him, aren't you? You can go anywhere.
Anywhere you want, yeah.
Anywhere you want. As soon as I release into the market, I make a few phone calls to Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Man City. We're gonna have offers because everyone's gonna look at this centre half and go, "That's our centre half for the next 5 to 10 years."
Yeah.
So I feel we need to be more clever, Sean.
I completely agree, mate. That's my point. Just shake hands with yourself, right? You're not going to get him. He can go anywhere. Tottenham are not at the highest. We may be at the second highest table, but we're not like at the wedding, like the main table at the wedding. We're in one of the kind of separate table 2, 3, or 4. And Gvardiol is going to get a seat at the main table. And for me, there's other players we can go after. I've mentioned a few in the centre back role. I like Milenkovic. I really, really like Kim Min-jae, but I don't think we're going to get him now. And that ship has sailed. I don't mind that Kirior. I don't think Kirior's he's not really. He's probably 3rd or 4th choice, maybe 7th choice on my list. But I still think he's better than what we have. I really like the kid from Benfica. I've already said Silva. There's players out there that are young, that are talented, and that won't cost you everything, and that are attainable for Tottenham.
And this guy that West Ham just signed, I know he's been injured, but he's been absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Again, how are West Ham scouting these players? How are we? When did West Ham
buy him?
In the summer.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
So in the summer, when our only centre back coming in is Longley on loan, and you're looking at all these other clubs, Napoli getting Kim Min-jae, West Ham getting this guy, Undeka right there with 1 year left on his contract at the time in the summer. Yeah. I just can't understand. Like I like that saying you've got. Shake hands with yourselves and realise this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is who we are. This is what we need. Guys, I'm not going to go to.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, go on. Carry
on. No, just because I'm going to go to for 25 more minutes, so we're not going to do a 4-hour stream like last week. But
sorry about that, by the way.
It would have been 2 hours for Sean to let us talk.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
That was funny.
The thing is, Ed, when we're saying Milenkovic always has a mistake in him, I don't think there's any centre half where there aren't mistakes. You're always going to have a mistake. I think it's about limiting those mistakes. So, for example, when I watched Gvardiol the other day for Croatia, in the first half, he had an awful moment where I thought, "Oh, what are you doing?" But the good outweighs that. And as you get older, you cut that out of your game, don't you? You're not going to find a faultless centre half, especially not one that Tottenham can afford.
Especially a young one. They just don't. It's the nature of the game. They make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Who would you guys rather, if you were to name? I know that you like the boy from Crystal Palace, Guehi and Anderson, right? You like both of those guys.
I'd take both of them.
Yeah.
Who's your kind of like ideal, realistic, or give me 3 names that are your ideal and yet also realistic centre back options that either play in the middle or play on the left?
Well, I wanted Anderson. I was a big fan of his as well. For me, Undekar was achievable, still is. You still look like you throw, sorry. And,
no.
Third
nodding, yeah.
About someone different. I probably ain't got someone different than what's already been said, to be honest. Like I said, in the summer, I would have just took James Tarkowski on a free. For me, he's no worse than Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
And then you can concentrate everything elsewhere. But there's plenty out there, let's be honest. There's plenty out there. It's just we don't seem to do the shrewd manoeuvre. Fans can kid themselves that we're going to go to the top of the tree and get that. And then we don't. All we do is normally pick up the fruit that's fell off, and it's on the ground already.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, let's look to players that we've already got at the club at the moment. If we look, I want to talk about this, the whole Kane and Richarlison thing. Now, first of all, I'm going to put it out there. I do think everyone's gone well overboard about actually how good Richarlison was at this World Cup. By the way. I'm seeing people going, "Oh my God, he's brilliant playing through the middle. He'll score loads of goals." What I actually saw of him was, he got a good goal, but Sean, like we've discussed a few times, he got a good goal when he had absolutely zero people around him to execute. I'm not knocking it. Good goal, but it wasn't like he did it under pressure or anything. Other than that, I don't feel a lot sticks to him up front. I feel like he's going to be one of those forwards that yes, he might get the odd finish, but I feel like the ball will bounce off him more than not. So this whole talk, lads, about do we drop Kane into the hole? Does Richarlison play through the middle? Are there any legs in this? Can we see it? And surely, if we're talking about putting anybody in the hole, it should be actually buying in a Maddison or someone of that ilk rather than dropping your best striker to play there. What do you make of it, Sean?
I'm kind of with you, mate. I know a lot of people right now are asking for the 4-4 or the 4-2-3-1. I think it's just a wasted conversation whilst Conte's at the realm.
Yeah,
I don't think you have space to play Richarlison, Kane, Sonny, and Decky in the same system because Conte likes to play back three. It is what it is. Like, that's his thing. But listen, there's with the news out about Morata from Inter being fed up and maybe he wants to partner up with Conte and go back to Juve and take over, be a part of this whole new system next year, then, maybe you could envisage that whole thing being played in the next season under a new manager. But for me, I'm with you, man. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't get the love of Richarlison. I understand he's a fun character. I get it. He's shithousery. I get all that stuff is lovable and admirable and brilliant. But at the end of the day, when you have a player who can't trap a bag of cement 9 times out of 10, whose first touch is woeful, and he's always trying to make a clever move like putting it through someone's legs or a back heel when a simple pass will suffice. Like, I understand he had I'm with you, man. An okay World Cup. The worldie goal that he scored was a training ground routine because there's no pressure on him. The other one was a tap in. Good World Cup. Still not a great player.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, Pete? Because when I look at some of the comments, I mean, like Peter said, we should at least try him at number 9. Another option is from Misawati here is saying, based on form, I would bench Sonny and play him on the left. The two things that I would say about those two, and I'll let you discuss these through, Pete, is when we say we should at least try Richarlison at number 9, effectively what we're saying there is Kane doesn't play. Right, because we don't play a playmaker, do we? So what we're saying is if Richarlison plays through the middle, you're not going to play Kane out right or left. And then the other option is, well, let's play Richarlison out on the left. But the thing is, the whole point we're being told is that he's not great right or left, and that's why he has to play through the middle. So where are you on this? And does this then not beg the question of why was he bought? Is it a long-term succession plan?
No, my answer was also no. He doesn't play for. Let's not do that. There's the old saying: you don't buy a player after a good World Cup. You don't start picking one either. I mean, he scored the worldie goal, and then the next game he was crap because everyone was like, there you go, back to normal, blah blah blah. And then the good goal he scored was a good team move, and he was just on hand to finish it.
Yeah,
that was just
yeah.
That,
But he did do a couple of keepy uppies that made everyone.
Oh yeah, well, quality, yeah. But you ain't doing that in the Premier League, yeah, because you'd end up going 4 foot up in the air, or you're just gonna get the ball taken off you. Yeah, that you can get away with that against teams like that. But no, I think there's more legs to him taking Son's place, but I don't think it's going to happen because he did sort of play that role for Everton. He coming off the left, so I can see the logic on that one. But definitely not number 9, not in place of Kane. All this Kane dropping deep, it's a load of bollocks. It's not going to happen because Conte then has to rip up his system. He's not going to do that. And I agree with you. If we're going to put someone in the hole, then go and buy someone to put in the hole. It's not all this drop Kane back. I don't think Kane would be interested in doing it either. I mean, he will do it for the team, but it's not something he's going to want to do. He'll do it begrudgingly. You're not going to get the best out of Kane doing that. And I don't think Richarlison's good enough to warrant it. Let's be honest, he played plenty of times in the 9 at Everton, and his best goal return was 13, and that with penalties.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, like Peter said it again, he scores for Brazil. That can't be a coincidence. I mean, he does score for Brazil, but I guess the question is,
Look at the team around him though for Brazil.
Yeah, it's okay at Tottenham. He's not going to have that around him, and my query the whole time with this was, first of all, everyone knew I didn't rate him massively. I don't dislike him. I don't think he's a terrible player by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a reactive player. I think he's one of those that in the box, he will react quickly to things and every now and then can link up like he did the other night with Brazil, and it looks great. all round, though, I just wonder if he was to play a full season at number 9 for us, Sean. Let's just say Kane leaves, Richarlison's your centre forward next season. How many goals are you expecting from a player like Richarlison? And are you expecting him to be one of those players that he's great 1 week, then he's crap for 2, then he's great again and crap for 2?
Yes. To your last question, I think he scores, even if he played week in, week out without Harry Kane and let's a new look formation and Harry Kane wasn't around. I still don't think he gets more than 12 goals in the season. I've had bets with people like Bob Spur that he doesn't score. I think it's 6 goals in the Premier League this season is what I had a bet with him on, and I think I'm sure Bob Spur would like to cash out of that bet before it goes any worse for him, because I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I've said it a million times. And I think David Clark made a really good point there. To Everton, Richarlison was worth 50 million quid, but he wasn't worth it to us.
Agreed.
And we should have spent the money elsewhere. We could have spent 15 million quid on a backup number 9 on the off chance that Harry gets injured, and the other 35, 40, whatever we got left over into doing what we could have done last year, buy Kim Min Jae, buy a better right wing back, buy a better another centre back, all that stuff we could have, should have, would have. When we find out that you spent 155 million quid in the summer, 40 million of it was on Romero, 50 million of it was on Richarlison.
Yeah,
it's an expensive window. Forget the Romero thing, but Richarlison was half of our budget on a player that you're either playing him out of position or you're paying top money for a player on the off chance that your number 1 player who starts every game if he's fit is injured, and he hasn't been injured this season. That touch wood thus far. So for me, the whole spend on that window was upside down and inverted on logic, and I just don't think that even next season, I just don't think Richarlison will be the replacement Kane. No chance.
He's not prolific enough, and he's not an all-round.
Exactly.
He's not good enough. He's not good enough footballer. I mean, you're never going to replace Kane like for like, because there's not many players around that are that good and has that goal threat in him. But for me, he's not like, I'd rather see a Danny Ings than him, because Danny Ings, will get you goals.
How much did Aston Villa pay for him? 8 million, wasn't it? 10 million, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Or you go and get, you might not get someone who's a good prolific goal scorer, but then you've got the Kane side of it, where he's a better footballer and he adds a bit more to the team as well. I don't think he does neither. He just runs around and pisses people off, and that's the only. Anytime people speak positive of him, that's the only thing they normally bring up. He's shithouse. Yeah, well, that ain't going to win you nothing, is it? Let's be honest.
50 million quid's worth of shithouse.
Yeah, that's like 60 million Lamella that plays up front. Go around, piss people off, but don't really have a massive overall quality. Even remember, Lamella was banging in Rabonas and all that. Still weren't all that. You know what I mean? I don't see much difference between the two.
It's an interesting one, Pete, isn't it? Because again, he's another one. I've said, I've been really open about this in the way I talk. I think we're in an era now where football fans really overrate players so easily, and Richarlison's another one where he scores a goal for Brazil, and every Instagram channel, every YouTube channel is, oh my God, Richie, number 9, he's amazing. He's got to start playing week in, week out up front for Spurs. I don't see it. I don't know. Even when I watch him for Brazil, I don't see that he's that good. What am I missing something?
No, I think people just get into the whole pigeon shit and all the silly dancing and all that. People just get caught up in the nonsense and actually don't look at the actual player. And because he costs money, because we spent 60 million on him, it automatically they think he's worth 60 million because that's what we paid for him. Not that we ain't got a history of wasting money on crap. Do you know what I mean? We've got so many examples of that. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get the hype. I didn't want him at the time. Nothing against him. He scored 2 goals against Marseille. That was good. And I was one of the ones that was saying he should start, get a chance because Son was so poor. He had chances. And for me, he didn't really do it. He did nothing. And you saw the weaknesses in his game too much for me. He's not quality enough for what we need. The waste of money. I think he felt sorry for him, Daniel Levy, the Everton manager, the Everton chairman. I think it's his mate or something.
This is the interesting thing for me. It's like, Peter, I'm not writing Richarlison off. The question I'm asking is, when you spend the majority of your transfer budget on a player that, apparently needs to play in a position where we've got one of the best strikers in the world playing in that position, and apparently isn't very good off the left and isn't very good off the right. It just begs the question of, if Kane stays, when does this guy ever come into his own, if I can say that? That's the point for me, Peter. It's listen, and it's not just writing him. It's not like he's been brilliant somewhere else before. I didn't particularly enjoy watching him for Everton either. I think he scored a few goals. They stayed up, and everyone said he was like single-handedly their saviour. It's just an interesting one. So, guys, I'm guessing neither of you are dropping Harry Kane to play Richarlison in the number 9.
Not in your life.
It's not going to happen, is it? Not going to happen. Okay, guys, just quickly before we wrap up in the next 5-10 minutes. So look, we come back. We've got we haven't. We've got Brentford away. Are we expecting to start with a bang? Like, are we expecting to win that game?
I mean,
No.
For me, it depends on the 11, right? This is why I'm curious to know whether or not Conte's going to ask them, some of those players to go, sorry, forego your little 8-9 day breather and come back and participate, because the team looks incredibly different if you get some of those players in. You could have a team that looks like Lloris in goal, Longley, Dyer, Romero, Perisic on the left, whoever you want on the right, Jed Spence. You can make, and the rest of the team picks itself. Or you could have a team that's Foster in goal, Sanchez or Tanganga on the right, Doherty on the left. Right, that to me is chalk and cheese in terms of outcome, because Brentford are no pushover. And for me, I think that if it's true what I've read, then the result hinges on, in my opinion, on whether or not we can put out a better team than is likely given their probable break for those 3 players that are left in the tournament. So I'm not expecting to come back and suddenly start playing 3-0, 4-0 victories, mate. But I'd hope that if we get the strongest team out, then we can get 3 points. Yeah.
Understood. Pete, win against Brentford. I mean, let me put it another way. If we don't beat Brentford, if we lose to Brentford, is that really disappointing more from the point of view of setting the tone for the second half of the season?
Yeah, because it'd just be a continuation from the first half, wouldn't it? For me, I think Conte needs this win. But you look at Brentford; a lot of their players have been at home. Not many of them went World Cup. Tony certainly didn't, so he's going to be chomping at the bit. You could have had a nicer fixture coming back after the World Cup from a half season break like that. I don't hold much hope, to be honest. I don't see. I think we're just going to see a continuation of what we saw last year, before the World Cup. More rubbish first half, and then a scramble in the second half. I don't see anything that's going to change, and then we're going to all the questions going to start coming back. Is Paratici going to be doing porridge? Is Conte going to be staying? All this stuff, it's all going to be straight back again. It's been on the back burner at the moment. Now England are out. The English journo's got nothing else to write about now, so they'll be at it all day long, all digging up shit all over the place. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Do you know what, Pete? I was saying to someone earlier today. That I think that might have saved a bit of what's going on at Tottenham as well with the whole Paratici thing and what's coming up in the transfer window. Every journalist, all they care about is the World Cup. Now that England are out, like you said, there's no potentially there's no distractions. There's 4 games left in the World Cup. There's 2 semi-finals, a third place, and a final. So things could be. Look, I think it's a really big 3 or 4 games. The next 3 or 4 games for Spurs, because if you don't beat Brentford, who, let's be fair, at home will be well up for it. Yeah, they'll be all over us like a rash, and they're a good team on their day, right? If we don't beat them, you come back and it's just starting how we kind of left off, isn't it? It's all a bit underwhelming. So it's a huge, it's a huge kind of game to kick off, isn't it? Away to Brentford, as opposed to having a home to Fulham or a home to Bournemouth.
Yeah, especially when you're going to start. Then you see Emerson Royal starting at right back again. You're like, all the things we've forgotten about for the last 4 weeks have all. It's like, oh.
You're already hungover because it's Boxing Day. You're bloated.
Yeah.
You've eaten too much cheese and crackers and turkey, and now you're like, oh, Fucking hell, Emerson Royale on boxing.
Yeah, I got to watch another turkey. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No crackers on that.
As you tuck into your 15th turkey sandwich of the day.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean,
and your tub of Twiglets.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I don't know. Look, for some reason under Conte, I just can't get excited about our games. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm desperate for the Premier League to come back, but I still look at the game at Brentford and I think, I don't know, I just really worry because of how we start. Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to think. Listen, I want to be on here, guys, in a month's time when we've won 4 of our first 4 games back and we're playing better football. But I just don't think we will. And look, let's move the conversation to this. We've talked about this a lot, guys, about Conte and a contract. We're now at the stage, guys, where we're into the last 6 months of his contract, right? We are officially, right? So it'll be the end of May. His contract will run to. So he's into the last 6 months. This
with an option, yeah? We've still got the option.
Yeah, but he can still walk away from that option, can't he? Let's be really, really honest. It's you know, we're now at Philo. We'll come on to this in a minute, mate. We're now at the point where is this going to psychologically affect the players if this doesn't get sorted quickly, Sean?
Yeah, I think it does. I certainly think it does. You're not knowing whether you're coming or going, who's going to be the manager. For sure, it's got a some sort of impact. I'll tell you what, though, reading about Pochettino the other day when he said he would never have signed Harry Kane to PSG because he absolutely loves, even though he loves Harry Kane and he credits Harry Kane for saving his career, but he also loves Tottenham. I then went back and looked for any statements to see what Kane's relationship from Kane's mouth was like with Pochettino. And in the summer of 2021, Kane was like, there's quotes of him saying that like their relationship between him and Pochettino was absolutely brilliant, like father-son kind of stuff at points. And so I'm a little bit less, that whole narrative of Conte goes, Kane goes.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel that that's all as likely. If Conte does go and Pochettino's unemployed, it's likely that he'll be the next cab off the rank. And given what I've read about Pochettino's feelings towards Kane and then latterly Kane's feelings towards Pochettino, and given the style of football that Kane is forced to play under Conte versus what he was asked to play under Pochettino, I feel like maybe it's not, it's, to answer your question directly, yes, it's disruptive. But ultimately, some of our best players, I think, wouldn't be too unhappy with the idea of playing Pochettino ball again.
Right. And do you know what? This is a real good point. I mean, Pete, to kind of steal Sean's point there and change up my original question, I keep hearing this that, oh my God, if Conte goes, Kane goes.
I've never believed that.
But I've never believed that. And the thing, I still think even if Conte stays, Kane might want to go. Let's be fair. Where are we? If rumours are to be believed, Kane wants to win things, right? Mm-hmm. So why would Conte staying mean that Kane automatically goes, yeah, I'm definitely going to sign a new contract? Is Kane that naive?
No, the two are not intrinsically linked at all.
No.
I think if Conte go, if I'm Kane, I'm thinking, hurry up, fuck off, to be honest, because I don't want to keep having to play only 45 minutes of football and dogging games all the time. For me, I think Kane, he's different. His situation is slightly different. It's nothing to do with Conte. I think can he get out to a decent club that might win something? If that option's there, he's taking it. Yeah. I think he might have thought he might have had a chance of England, but it's probably dawned on him now. As long as this Muppet's in charge, that ain't going to happen. Yeah, so because that for me before that was probably his only route of winning something would be an international level.
Do you think as well then that lots of fans that keep coming out with this saying that Kane only stays if Conte stays, they're just putting the 2 and 2 together that because Conte's won things that Kane enjoys playing for him, that wants to play for him? Because I haven't seen anything to suggest that. I haven't seen anything that makes me think he really, really enjoys playing Conte ball, so to speak. And
No.
to Sean's point, I think he'd probably like to play. I'm not advocating Poch coming back. I'm just saying, I think he'd probably quite like to go back to playing some sort of football.
Decent football.
Yeah, of course. I don't think at all. I think the same fans who say that are probably the same fans who overhype Conte and all the rest of it. I think he's the best thing since sliced bread. And if he goes, we're never going to win anything, and all the rest of it. Even though all the evidence suggests that we'll never win anything, whether he's here or not.
Anyway, yeah. Who would your number one, or any, not necessarily number one, but who would your top choices be for, presuming that Conte says at the end of the summer, you know what, I don't really want to take up the option if you don't mind, Daniel. And Daniel says, "Oh, if you don't want to be here, you haven't got to be here." They go separate ways. Give me 3 names that you'd like to see come back to Tottenham or come to Tottenham.
Luis Enrique.
Yeah, I put mind him. I still think Brendan Rodgers. I think because the football he plays. Let's be honest. If you're going to have to accept the thing that it's highly unlikely we're going to win anything. Yeah, with these owners. Yeah, with the investment at the levels that it is in the team, it's just not happening. Yeah, we're not. We may sneak a cup if we're lucky, but let's be honest. Even then, you still have to beat a Man City or Liverpool to win that because they go all the way in all of them. So the reality is we're not winning anything. Not with this current ownership, the way they run the club and all that. You got to accept that. I wish it was different, but it isn't. So you got to take the emotion out of it and be realistic. So then you go, right, what's the next best thing? Well, I want to see some exciting football.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, Brendan Rodgers can serve that up. People will say, he's fucked up Leicester, blah, blah, blah. But he's had Leicester there, and they have won a trophy at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's played good football everywhere he's been. He's had good teams. Liverpool were in a whisker of winning the league with his team. With not the talent, nowhere near the talented team they had when Klopp won it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he's got that. He's got that in his locker. And Leicester, he's been. I think a couple of times been unlucky with a lot of injuries at the back end of the season. I remember one year he lost the whole back 4. But
last season Leicester were ravaged by injuries as well, weren't they?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And there's clearly something going along those. And in this season, they've got financial pot. Like the manager said, I'm not spending any more money. We need to level out for FFP and all that. So
I wouldn't hate Brendan Rodgers. I think that's a reasonable, it's a decent sized name as well, isn't it? Like it's not.
Yeah, I don't want Poch back. I'll be honest.
No? Okay.
More for him, really.
Sorry, did you say you don't want him back, or you don't mind him back?
I don't want him back. If it means he has to come back and Conte goes, I'll take it because at least the football will be an improvement. But for me, it's the wrong time. I mean, I love Poch. I think, although I think he's sort of underachieved a little bit. But for what he did with the team, you can't knock that. But I think for his sake, don't come back when a lot of that team is still there. Yeah, it's far too early. For me, he should be cutting his cloth a few other places and then come back, and then maybe come back in a couple of years, not within 5 years of leaving. I think that's just bizarre. That probably will happen because that's a Levy get out of jail free card. So that's the reason why I think it may happen. I don't think it's not a logical thing, but I think it's a definite Levy. Well,
is there any examples though, boys, of managers that have left the club, gone back to a club for a second crack at the whip, and had success or better results the second time than they did the first time?
Mourinho won the league with Chelsea, didn't he, when he went back?
But he was more successful the first time, right?
Well, he was there longer, wasn't he? Yeah, 2 years he won it. 2 years in a row. Second year he won it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, also, that's a tough one.
The only place that really happens a lot is Italy, isn't it? They normally have a merry-go-round where they do the circuit and then end up going backwards and forwards. You know what I mean? Weird, so, isn't it?
It's like dating the local birds in the local bars. I've been with you before, something like that, go round again.
Yeah, so I mean,
a name that seems to be flying around in the comments a lot. Not me. I'm just is
Postecoglou, is it?
Postecoglou of Celtic. Now, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's a guy that, look, it's always going to be thrown, isn't it, that it's only Scotland. For me, I like the way his team plays, but I think I would like to see him at a club that isn't just the best club. One
name for that, Steven Gerrard. We had the same thing with Steven Gerrard. Same thing. Let's get him in. Let's get him in. Many fans said that, and then he's gone to a Villa team who are blessed with very good players.
What do you think went wrong with Steven Gerrard? You think he's naive, just doesn't?
I don't think he's that good.
Not smart enough.
I think that was a too big a jump too quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the difficulty as well is because he went to a club that splashed out money. Yeah, the expectation is there. So he went in immediately and they gave him Digne. He went in immediately. They gave him Coutinho, Kamara. I think there was 6 or 7 he bought within 2 windows. They spent over 150 million or whatever it was.
Yeah.
As opposed to going to a Bournemouth or a Fulham where you've not got a lot of money and doing a good job first to see if you could do it. So I do feel that it was
Scott Parker.
Yeah. I feel like it was on a hiding to nothing. But at the same time, when you do have those players, he had enough talent at Villa that they shouldn't have been anywhere near where they were.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, it's a tough one, isn't it? Look, I've made it very clear that I don't like this style of football. So when Conte does go, and I'm not sitting here saying Conte out, but when Conte does go, I won't lose a single ounce of sleep. I'm not going to lie to you. Not that you thought I would, but I do hope that the next manager we bring in, even if it means a complete build, I'm not going to call it a rebuild because rebuild suggests something has happened before. I just want that manager to come in and have a philosophy. And for me, I would love a Luis Enrique. I would love someone that could go.
What sort of football does he play? Has he? I don't know too much about his history. Has he been a club manager? Barcelona. Okay.
Barcelona style. He won the treble with Barcelona.
Right, okay.
Look, I guess with a manager like that, you're hoping that they can then bring some young players that play that type of football from another country. I saw a comment that I wanted to see this. So today is to do my first. So we don't have the players to play tiki-taka. Why change our style now? What about progress?
We got a style.
This all boils down to what Pete said. Do we have a style? And secondly, is that style something you like individually as a fan? So I can't tell. Listen, I'm on the panel with 2 grown men. I can't tell them what to like and what not to like. I can only tell you what I don't like. For me, this style is not something I want to see us progress with for the next 3 or 4 years. I don't want to watch this football. I want to get to a Saturday and think, God, that was good. All right, we lost 4-3. That was good. I don't want to see this style of play whilst going behind in every single game we play. Sean, I've got a feeling you're not 100% the same as that, but of a similar ilk to that.
When it comes to Conte's style of football, or the football playing, whatever it is.
Want to see this for 3 or 4 years?
No, this is the thing. Like, I know I get absolutely murdered by everybody for my take on this, but I just don't. I'm with Pete in as much as I don't see trophies as things that are like we're entitled to. Well, that's not what you're saying. I'm putting words in your mouth.
But
Pete's saying that it's unlikely we're going to win trophies. So if that's the case, let's understand that and let's at least play good football. I 100% agree with that. I also just don't think that people that sit there and say because we haven't won a trophy for so long, it's outrageous that we haven't won anything. I think people ignore the exterior factors. But in a nutshell, because we're not going to win a trophy, or because the chances of winning a trophy are so small in reality, I'm all about the experience of watching Tottenham every week, twice a week, rather than the option of maybe lifting a trophy once a season or probably not. For me, all I want to do is enjoy the game of football. And for me, it's about the style of football. And so for me, I'm not enamored by Conte. I'm not necessarily saying I want him to leave. I don't care. But, I just want to, he's capable of playing better football. He is capable of asking our team with his instructions to play better football than we do. That's all I want. I want to see Tottenham play great football. If great football leads to trophies, cherry on top. But for me, it's more about, when I'm watching Tottenham, it's a distraction from my life twice a week, once a week, whatever. And I can't stand this version of football that we've seen for most of the season. The best game of football that I've enjoyed the most was the 4-3 victory over Leeds just before the World Cup happened. That was a helter-skelter game of football that could have gone either way. And I'd take that all day long over the boring nonsense we've seen for the most part this season.
Agreed.
Pete, are you in full agreement with that?
Yeah, I love us to say, yeah, we could get a manager in and start winning trophies, but the club is not geared for that. The squad definitely ain't geared for that. And let's be honest, the best chance we've had of winning trophies in recent times has been when we played better football. I think the days where you shit yourself to a trophy are long gone because
I agree.
teams now are just too good to do it. You
Yeah.
have to play some form of decent attacking football in order to win things. Yeah, the game's evolved now, so you got to evolve with it. So for me, I think that's why I said Brendan Rodgers, because normally whatever players you put in front of Brendan Rodgers, he can make a decent attacking team out of, and then you go from there. And then when you've got players like Harry Kane, if you get him some regular service and get him doing what he should be doing, which is finishing chances, you got half a chance doing anything. Do you know what I mean?
Just quickly, Peter Simons, do you truly believe this, or is this sarcasm? If you truly believe it, we'll have a great debate. But I just genuinely don't believe that anyone thinks we're winning a Champions League when we couldn't beat Nottingham Forest B team to stay in the Carling Cup or whatever.
Do you think we'll get past Milan though, boys?
I mean, are Milan that good? I don't think that's a benchmark. I don't think Milan are that great a team. I think they've got some good players. I think it'll be a tough game.
Yeah.
For me, again, a little bit like England, a little bit like the England thing, Sean. I just know the moment we play a top team, no disrespect to AC Milan, and I know I've got Steph ACM, who's a Milan fan in the chat. I've just realised going to absolutely crucify me for saying this. But if we did get past Milan, I want to see what we do when we get a big boy. When the pressure's on,
we'll get murdered by Paris. We'll get murdered by. Obviously, you get Man City. You get the other teams that you can get English.
Can you imagine Mbappe against Sessegnon? I mean, come on. I mean, look what he left Kyle Walker for dust. Imagine what he's going to do to that soppy.
No, wait.
Freak.
Mbappe would be against our right. He plays off the left, doesn't he? So Mbappe against Emerson Royale.
Well, even worse, isn't it? It just destroy anyone and everyone, wouldn't it? But
it would be Lionel Messi doing what he did to us at Wembley, dictating the game from the middle of the park, pulling strings.
And worse.
Just
put everyone at right back, wouldn't you?
Oh, mate. Yeah. I mean,
Kyle Walker maybe wrote the template though, because I thought Kyle Walker. The only time I saw Kyle Walker get done by him was in that foot race when Mbappe stuck it past him, and then the two of them went for like a few seconds on full sprint mode, and Mbappe had the edge over Kyle Walker. And it's very rare that you see a player out.
It's the only person I've seen breeze past Kyle Walker. I've never seen it happen before. Kyle Walker did well, Nugget. Yeah, he marshaled him well.
Did do well. Yeah.
Just quickly, I mean, this couldn't be a more false statement. When you say foreign players are only interested in the title of the Champions League, the whole Premier League is foreign. So I don't know what this means. Please, can you describe?
I think what he's saying is that it's hard. You're not going to be able to attract players if the best thing you can promise them is an FA Cup, which we kind of promised them that anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think what he's saying, the majority of the players come to the league to want to win it. The top players you want to buy, not. Listen, I think they'll be happy winning everything.
Pete, the top players, yes. But let's be really, really honest. I think footballers are intelligent enough to know who's realistically going to win the title each year, right? Let's be fair. Any player that's joining someone outside of Man City realistically knows, right, that
trophies will be short.
Right, you know what I mean? That you're not winning.
It's not just the league, though, is it? It's also the cups, right? You have to beat Man City to win the cup.
You got to beat them for that and all now. And they used to be the same because they used to just bomb it off. But now they clean up. They're cleaning up everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because them top managers know if they ain't win the league, they got to bag the other trophies. To win trophyless. If you're at Chelsea, that gets you the sack, and Man City, it's not just Pep just don't have that, and nor will Liverpool.
That's why it makes me alive about the way we did with the Carabao Cup, because the way the draw figured out, half of the good teams were paired against each other anyway throughout the third, the fourth, and fifth rounds.
Well, I feel like Conte picked the team that should have won it. Let's be honest, but to me, I'd rather seen the younger players, and then at least we've had something to show for it at the end. But we've had that one. But yeah, we're not going to win the league, so let's just get back to enjoying football, and who knows from there? Who knows there? Because when players are happy and enjoying what they're doing, they play. You see a lot more from them than when they're playing some sort of regimented style. You know what I mean? They don't enjoy it. It's not enjoyable. No one goes into football to play that sort of style of football. Only defenders. really. But if you're attack and play, you don't go, yeah, I want to come play for Conte and see the ball maybe once every 10 minutes. Just you don't do it.
Yeah, I think this is the key thing for me. And I've said this. I've said this a number of times. Listen, I've been on that hype train for years now. That listen, all I want is trophies, right? Trophies. I'm at the point, Pete, where I've just completely given up with that. We've completely missed that, in my opinion, with the team that didn't manage to get over the line for the last sort of 6, 7, 8 years. So I'm now of the opinion that whilst I want to win trophies, we've got a manager that clearly isn't going to win trophies. We've seen that from we won't cover that ground, but we've seen that from so far the 3 opportunities he's had in cup competitions he's been in with us. We've been dreadful.
Out of a whimper, isn't it?
And we've gone out of a whimper. So the minimum I want to see as a football-loving fan, like Sean said, it's that release, isn't it? It's that I just want to see some football. I don't. When people go, "Oh, style isn't important," it is
massively important.
It's massively important for me. And like you said, Pete, there's how many teams shit out themselves to winning anything? I mean, somebody's going to say Croatia in the World Cup semi-final. Yeah, sure, but still sprinkled with quality, right? With Brozovic, Kovacic, Gvardiol.
I think of Croatia, they maximise what they've got. They haven't got them players. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got an Mbappe. They haven't got Ronaldo. They haven't got a Messi. Or what they have, and they're an old team. They're an Asian team.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're still doing bits. You can't knock them for that.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, I think fans also have to accept that we're not that club where we was when we were Poch, when we were nearly there. We've dropped. That squad has regressed so much since then.
Yeah.
We aren't. It's not just you get another manager in and then we can start trying to win trophies. That squad has regressed so much.
That squad would smash our squad 3-0, wouldn't it?
And the rest.
Whose squad, sorry?
If you could, even if you had to duplicate certain players, if you would have played the 2018 team versus the 2022 team,
that'd be a murder. We'd get murdered, mate. The 2022 that'd be absolute, and the rest, mate. That'd be diabolical.
And that's how far downhill we've gone.
That's
in
what I'm
such
saying.
a short space of time, right?
Yeah.
I think we said it, didn't we? When you look at that famous 11, all right, they didn't win anything, played great football. When you look at that 11, player for player, you've gone from Walker. I can only judge it now, right? You go from Walker to Royal. You've gone from Danny Rose to Sessegnon, right? You've gone from Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen to Dyer and Davis, right? You've gone from Wanyama to Højbjerg. I mean, you can have the argument there. You've gone from Moussa Dembele to Bentancur. For me, there's no argument there as to who's the better player. You've got Christian Eriksen
to no one.
To
no one.
and then the other two is Kane and Son. The only one that's really come in is, I suppose, Kulu for Ali, right? But how has that managed to happen? Is that every manager? Is that different directors of football? Is that the owners? I mean, whoever it is, whether it's all of them. It's not good, is it?
No, the team is miles. It's miles away. So let's get back to playing decent football and get the players happy. Improve the squad. Let's be honest. We never started buying these world-class players when we started sort of standing up. People started taking us seriously under Poch. We never was going out and buying world-class players then. That was a problem because that's when we needed to. At the end of that process, we didn't. So let's get back to playing some decent football. Get a manager in and play decent football, and then who knows where it goes from there. For me, that's got to be the starting. That's got to be the starting point now. But as we talked about last week, that reset that could be coming quicker than we realise because these conversations have to start happening. Have to start happening all day long.
Peter, listen, we were outsiders, but I think, Peter, you're doing that thing that lots of Spurs fans do. We got ourselves to a Champions League final, and now we seem to think that we can do it every single time we enter a field. It just doesn't.
Arsenal did it once.
I might stand corrected back in May, right? But I if we make it to the Champions League final, Conte would have done the best job of any manager I've ever seen. Because once we come up against top teams playing against this back five, we're going to be taken to the cleaners, mate, by the top clubs over 2 legs. Imagine going to the Bernabeu Imagine going, imagine going to Bayern Munich.
Oh,
Imagine playing Man City. Imagine going to PSG. We'll get pulled all over the park. Guys, just before we wrap it up, any other comments anyone wants to see? Anyone wants to talk about before we wrap up?
No, not really, mate. I think we covered quite a lot this evening.
Yeah. Good. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. It's been some really good comments going on in the show. Hopefully, we are trying to create a more mature environment. So hopefully that's coming across. So
this
week,
this week, not last week.
That's all right. So really appreciate that.
Sean, it was all right, mate. The audience loved it. They thought it was hilarious. Some of it.
Yeah, I heard loads of people reached out to me saying that they loved it. I was like, no. I'm sorry, everybody.
It was hard. It's hard to say anything, but it was equally amusing. It's one of them things. After is amusing.
Just quickly, if like Mark, you do want to become a channel member, feel free to. And like Liam says, the member button is next to the subscribe button on the channel homepage. Sean, is there any other way people can find the membership quicker than that?
No. Yeah, just go to your go to your channel homepage, and there'll be the join button at the bottom.
So
I looked at it before, I can't find it.
So, guys, please do that. Please go and subscribe to the Spurs Talk Show with Sean. Please subscribe to North London Is with Pete. Let's all help each other out in this world. And thank you very much, Sean, Pete, legends.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks
Good
to everyone in
show.
the chat. Hit the like. Please subscribe. And much love to you all. See you soon. Take care.
See you later, lads. Take care.